Hello, gatekeepers. How's everybody doing tonight? Happy Sunday night. It is Sunday night, isn't it? I think it is. Yeah, pretty sure it's Sunday. I don't have a calendar in front of me, so if I have the day wrong, don't hold it against me. But I'm pretty doggone sure it's Sunday. And I hope you had a lovely one. It's good to see y'all. I see Scott out there. I see Vixen. I saw Ted in here earlier. Chris, thank you so much. And thank you again to my mods who come in here and try to help new people that come into the chat and tell them that bacon is love and welcome them in and, try to get their questions, get my attention to get their questions answered and things like that. You guys don't realize how much I really, really appreciate, especially when I have a guest. My energy is flying all over the room like Ricochet Rabbit, I appreciate it so much that you guys keep the chat welcoming and informative and chill, and throwing down the links and answering all my blanks that I have and throwing it up there in the chat and just putting in all this wonderful insight that you guys have. That's the whole reason that I think that we chose gatekeepers, to try to give new meaning to the word. We're not really deciding who goes through the gate. Everybody goes to the gate whether they want to or not. We're just there to kind of help you along the way and give you pointers and tell you what we've learned. And, we're going to say, look, well, we're pretty much comfortable in the theory on this, but, it's really up to you, and it's what you believe and what you want and what you manifest. And, that's definitely going to have an effect on it. So don't hold it against us if we're wrong. So there you go. We do the best we can around here. Welcome in, Uncommon Belief. I see you. Scott, if I didn't say hi to you, I hope everything is well with you. Henry, just all my love sent your way. I hope you're doing well. And just big hugs, and just know you're thought of often. And every time I think of you, I send you love. And I hope you feel it every now and then. Ghost, how you doing, sweet cat? Good to have you here. Good to have you here. Thank you for, and see, this is it too. My mouths are throwing down definitions, all kinds of other things. It's wonderful. I just love you all so much, and I don't get a chance to say that often. I forget, and I get tongue-tied, I get caught up. So thank you. You are appreciated. I love all of my my wonderful people in chat, and you at home listening too. Gosh, I'll tell you what. When I get a message that you guys heard something that was on this show, whether it was from a guest or whether it was just a subject we were pulling information on, and it helped you, if it helped you through your day, if it helped you through a hard time, loss of a loved one, a pet, your own questions, an experience that you had, you saw a UFO, you were chased home by an alien, men in black, or bothering you, whatever it is, whatever we said here on this show, whatever we brought to you, or even if it was just a slogan off of a bumper sticker, if it was something that you needed to hear at that moment, I wish I could take credit for that. I cannot. The only thing I can take credit for is being a willing vessel to bring the light to you, whether it is your spirit guides talking to my spirit guides, using these electronics to get out good information. Let me tell you something. Electronics are used both ways. It's just like hands. We can heal. We can, give kindness to someone. Hey, Froze Moments. Welcome in, darling. How's everything out there in Tennessee? I hope it's well. I hope you're doing so well. I really, really do. I pray often for you too, sweetheart. All of y'all. So I'm just, like I said, it's just a vessel being used, and you can, show kindness with your hands, or you can hit somebody, you can destroy things. It's the same thing with electronics, with your phone, with your television, with your radio. What are you taking in, and what are you putting back out? It's very important to know that swings both ways, just like the gate swings both ways, It really does. So I wanted to say thank you to people leaving comments. I've had people from 2-3 years ago just listening to the radio show and say, I listened to this one. It came up just at the right time. That's why we do this. We do this so your spirit guides can use it and go, hey, listen to this right now. It's happened to me. And I'll tell you something. It's made all the difference in a bad day or a hard time, or a question that I had and I didn't know which way to, fork in the road, which way to turn. And you get that validation. It's amazing. So understand that I think that we are very much like that. We are receivers in a way. We're receiving and we're putting out vibrations at the same time. You know what I mean? At the same time, we're doing both. So whatever you take in, is that necessarily what you're going to put back out after you run it through your filters? Well, if your filters are clogged and you're having a bad day and, everybody reacts differently. I think we all react differently if we sit back and we think about something. So what does that have to do with tonight? Well, I wanted to go through and find a couple of examples. And I turned to our the wonderful TV show out of Australia, The Extraordinary, because there was a couple of clips that represent what we're talking about tonight. And what we're talking about tonight is I got put on this idea a couple of weeks ago that not just the veil is thinning, but our consciousness are changing. That awakening is happening. You're seeing things different. Maybe 5, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, maybe even a couple months ago, when you looked at something, you looked at it very close up and you reacted to it close up, and you maybe you reacted on an emotional level. I do that all the time, especially if it's something that, my personality is to protect, to jump in front of an issue, lean into the torpedo. That's just me. But if you sit back and you think about it, you do this whole thing like, does this need to be said? Does this need to be said right now? Kind of thing. I think we would react different if everybody took that pause and thought about things. And in the paranormal, supernatural, in this wonderful metaphysical world we live in, we need to notice these things. Do you, Henry? Oh, great. I'm telling you. We need to notice these things because I think they're happening more. I think they're happening more frequently, and we might be missing them because there's so much buzz going on. We might be missing the little things. So if you're in line and you ask yourself a question or in your head or whatever, you're having a conversation and you hear someone else validate without, out of earshot, or someone comes up later and validates something that you said, or it feels like you almost got an answer to your question. Let me give you an example. I was talking to somebody and I know we were talking about Archangel Michael. And I was talking about him like I talk, it's like, hey, Mike, I need you, that kind of thing. And I was joking with that person and saying, look, he's as real as you and I, the warrior. We were talking all about everything, the strength, and just there's no holds barred, no BSing, just, warrior. And I said, well, look, there'll be a validation. Well, sure enough, I get in the car, I'm done with the phone call, get in the car, up at the red light, there's 3 cars in front of me, the one right in front of me, vanity plate, Michael. So you see what I mean? It's like, hey, thanks. I heard the nice things you said about me. Appreciate it. Take that. Stop talking yourself out of it. Also, we are going to be talking about channeling, trances, jumpers, and scrying, and a little bit about Dr. Moody. And at the last minute, I thought, I'm thinking about this person a lot. He's a friend of mine. He has some knowledge in this, and plus I wanted to kind of get a buddy to talk to come in tonight to talk to us. So I have a surprise guest for you. So before I say another word, catch me now because I'll talk for an hour. I want to bring on a friend of the show and my brother, Mr. Brian Bowden. Get in here, honey.
I'm in here.
You're in here,
everybody. I
could give you the spiel. You tried to do what?
I tried to connect my chat to say hi to everybody, but I couldn't do it.
You couldn't do it. So we'll just pull them up. Can you see? You can't. You can't pop it out.
Yeah,
can you please see it now?
I'm using that StreamYard app, but it's great to see everybody. A lot of bacon, which is good. And all you need is lettuce and tomato and mayo and.
Yep. So let's say hi to some of these wonderful people. Lisa, hello, darling. How you doing, Lisa Ray? Welcome in tonight. Henry is here. Kat's here. You sent me what, babe? A link to Cisco if you haven't come across it. Oh, okay. Psychomanyeum. Yep. Tales of the Dead. All right. We'll see. We might even have that one tonight, Kat. I will take a look. We're going to see a couple of short videos tonight, not some real long ones,
Vixen.
but I've got a little bit of Moody on. Hey, Vixen. How you doing, sweetheart? Froze is here. Yeah.
Froze is there. Yes.
Froze is here. I'm glad, Froze. Good to see you, babe.
You were talking about Michael, and Archangel Michael is.
Yeah.
I'm a huge supporter and fan of his, and
you
can call on Michael if you have a problem or need help, and Michael will respond. That's what he does. So
so fast. I've been, it's amazing.
I've been talking, I've been talking to God and Michael and some of family members asking for help and guidance, because I don't know exactly what they want me to do. I'm doing what I think they want me to do. I do a lot of light work. I do a lot of healing. In the readings I do, I have prevented a numerous amount of people from taking their lives, and I'm very proud of that.
Hey,
Froze, but I had an issue, and Cisco said, "Here, watch this video," and it's a 7-minute video. It's about Michael and clearing and cleansing and
shielding.
Yeah, everybody watch that. But Michael will he'll let you know his presence is there, and I love the sign that he gave you, like Michael on the vanity plate. So,
oh my gosh,
he knows how to roll.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and I try to give everybody in here that the thing too, because it's so thorough. It's a Doreen virtue, and it's clearing Archangel Michael clearing and shielding, and it should come up with a picture of I think it's an illustration of Michael. It's 7 minutes, so I'll see if I can get the link, and I'll put it in the chat after we watch this one video. But the reason is it does the cord cutting. It's a cleansing for light workers, because we tend to take on so much, and I talk about all the time, get your baseline. Like, I'll sit there and go, wait a minute, this isn't me. This is either I'm having a spider venom flare up, which with me, it makes me mean. I mean, it's like somebody gave me meth and rabies, all of a sudden. And I'm just like, and I could just feel myself, my whole body starts to growl. I don't know how to say, and you know me, you don't want to be around this. You do not want to be around this. And I'll tell my loved ones, I love you so much, but I'm just like, I'm foaming at the mouth. Venom, it affects your neurological as well. And it likes to come around it does like a 3-week cycle or something like that, 3 to 4, something, there's no pinpointing it, but when you get it, because you start getting this, like, it's so wild. Not a lot of people survive this much venom. So it's really not, there's not a lot written on this. So trust me, if you've been bitten by a brown recluse, it does not go away. It does not dissipate over time. So it'll start to affect you. And I'm just like, I really start feeling like Cujo. Light affects me.
Oh yeah.
And I just want to there's this low growl going, but so I've really tried to really think, is this my base? Is this venom? Is it the world affecting me? Is it, my empathic, I'm like 4 layers of that mess. It's just not even fair. So wildfires, animals, people being nervous, it affects you. And I'm sure it's affecting multiple people in this chat and people listening right now. And it's very hard to get back to that base. And that is a very quick 7-minute flush and go. I used to lock myself in the bathroom at work and just headphones, just, because you can hide for 7 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get yourself just juiced back up and go. It's like, I don't know. I mean, how does it make you feel when you do it? It's like, whew, I can focus again.
It literally feels like the weight of the world has come off your body, and you could breathe better. You're clearer.
I'm going to pull it up.
And all you need is one listen, but sometimes I like the number 3. So sometimes I'll just go through it 2 more times after, but it's kind of like my breaking curses and protection prayers that I posted recently, Warriors of St. Michael's, where everybody in chat, if you go to my Facebook page, or the video I just did on Third Eye Live, my YouTube channel, it's not called Third Eye Live there. It's at Brian Bowden with a Y. But I I put a link to it because everybody, you can put whoever you want into the prayers to protect, and then you can go along with it and just read it. And I promise you, read it every morning, and it's a great way to start your day and protect you.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And I also tell people too, look, you spend a lot of time, even people that sleep. And I just put the link to that video. It's free on YouTube.
yep,
I don't know what to tell people don't have YouTube. I know she has some things on audio on some of the audio pages, like what's that one where LibriVox does some audio and some other, and she's
right.
got some audio out there available too. So look there, but it's called the Clearing and Shielding, Archangel Michael Clearing and Shielding Lightworker Cleanse is what it is.
And then what I'll do is I can also on my Facebook page, which is very much public, I'm going to post it on mine saying from Journey on the through the Gate Paranormal Portal podcast, as discussed, Michael prayer, and this way people
Good.
can get it there too.
Right.
So,
And
it's
again,
that important.
this has nothing to do with religion. I'm going to tell Bri will back me up on this.
No.
Angels belong to everybody. Angels belong, Archangel, everybody. There's no stipulation. It's just your faith and what you believe. And if you need to battle spiritual warfare, I highly recommend you call the best. I mean,
he is the best, the right hand of God.
It's just absolute the best.
Yep.
So there's that. Don't let any of that hold you back. Yeah, he kind of does. Yeah.
Yeah, he has a pretty good track record.
Because I got a feeling there's a lot of people feeling a lot of the gunk, because when you're awakening too, if you don't rejuvenate, if you don't, it just really, you really get worn down. I mean, I caught myself last week. I called Bri. I told him, look, I went dark. And I told you guys last week, I went dark. I don't call people. Look, you don't call people and say, I'm going dark because things are going to jump through the phone and, choke you. You know what I'm saying? You just don't. You stop.
Yeah.
You stop because that would be stupid. And you just go dark. And my friends know that if she's dark, and then I'll throw up like a cat picture or something on Facebook. I'm alive. We have proof of life. I'm battling. You don't want any of it. And the people know. So if that's happening to you, you're not weird. Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, I've sensed it, and you actually can call me, Cisco, and
call
me. I'm one of the few you can say that to, and be like, okay, cool, let's go battle this fucker.
Right, but also that's also how they distract me, because I'm gonna. My protective thing is I always jump in front of everything for everybody else. So if I'm doing it, then they're gonna. So it gets crazy. So it's just.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing.
I've had it recently. I mean, the last 2 or 3 episodes that I put out, I'm having mic issues, and really bad. And it's like someone doesn't want me to
say certain things.
Push forward, but with me, let's go, bring it, because I'm not stopping.
I put holy water all over everything and do all the stuff. I do all the thing. Last week, I was talking to Lynn last week.
Got to drink
and
it.
her little friend, her little friend's buzzing. I mean, cracking in my ears, and I'm like, no,
great episode, by the way.
We're not playing this, But you saw, and I'm like, I was like, not playing with this mess.
Yep.
It's just, there's too much going on, and we're all here for this. So I know doggone good and well. Gunk is the worst, Scott. It really is. You guys are going through. So, I know people like Scott is staying busy. They're being real crafty. I know there's people here that bake and cook and do all the things and, fix cars and just all the, if you're in a situation, you can't be crafty, do something, do a puzzle, do a crossword puzzle, do, anything like that, something that uses your mind and your hand, because in that short bit, you're actually grounding. You know what I mean?
Draw. I always recommend people be creative and draw, because creativity is light. And something I said, I did a couple of 2025 prediction shows, and I told everybody, I said, 2025 is a year of change. And someone asked me, good or bad? And I said, yes. And it's going to be good and bad. And the first, third of it is going to be tough. But second, the second third is going to lighten it up. By the time we hit the third, like that third quarter, or that third, the last one, you're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I promise you, it's not a train.
It could very well be a train.
No, it's not.
Cisco would tell you the truth. It could be a train. It could be a big train.
Right. It
No,
could
I'm
be the
joking.
peace
I'm
train,
joking.
you know.
It could be the peace train.
Yeah.
Here's how you beat the train. Get on it.
Yep.
Get on it. I've been riding the train for a long time. I already got initial cushioned seats in the bar car, honey. You know what I'm saying?
Just mention
This is
Cisco's name,
interesting.
you'll get it.
You can get it. You can get in. I don't know if you get a seat, but let's fill it up quick. Lisa said that heard right about a 9-volt battery over a bite to neutralize the venom. I wonder if using a microcurrent device all over the body could do the same. I don't know. I wonder if the Thames is like that, because I've had a lot of those going on. I've been jumping all over the place. But this is almost 20 years, I think. Has it been, Bri? Almost 20? It's going close to it since I've been bit. But I got bit 5 times one night, so I got a lot of venom.
Here's something very interesting. So not last year, but the year before, we were at Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. Cisco was there with fam. And at the end of it, she did I don't know, I want to say a clearing and blessing area. And you can't go in there until she calls you over.
Right.
And there was a whole bunch of us there, which we all needed it. And what she didn't notice, but I saw it immediately at the time, was there was a spider that came down by the tree, and the connection. I'm like, there was a spider there, and considering the venom, from the black recluse, and
spider,
the fact,
medicine.
one of your protectors is the spider.
Tenacity. Stick-to-itiveness.
So it was really cool to see that.
Spider's good venom. But I mean, even that whole thing, because we had Eric and Raj. Raj is what do you call it? Herbivore? No, that's somebody eats meat. No, does somebody eats trees?
Is
he eats
vegetarian. Herbivore. Herbivore.
Okay,
it's a vegetation.
That's someone who eats trees.
Yeah.
He studies trees. Wait a minute. He's an
He's an arborist.
Arborist. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, dude knows trees. So I'm going to a parking lot, right? And trees are, they're these little poplars, they're whatever. They throw up cheap trees that grow fast. They always do in landscape in the parking lot. So, and you're getting all that exhaust and everything from the cars, and it's not the best place for growth, right? So anyway, I'm walking through, and we're leaving breakfast. I don't even remember all of it. And I'm saving pancakes because I don't throw away food. I feed animals with food. So I'm feeding the animals, I'm feeding the birds, and I'm doing all the offerings before these people that come in and just want give, you take. They don't give. They don't understand why natives give first before they ask. So I'm feeding the birds, and I'm asking them to lead me to the tree I'm supposed to use. So I'm just following birds. People are in the background. What the hell is she doing with pancakes? And everybody who knows me is just let her go. Just let her go. Don't get involved. Just leave her alone. So I go and I find this tree. Well, they find the tree. I follow the birds, and I'm like, is this it? Then I ask the tree permission, and I go through all my things, right? So I'm cleaning and doing all the tree. We do all the stuff. We circle around, and we do the cleansing. I do the saging, and it was great. And everybody had their personal experience. It was profound, I promise you, for everybody that was there.
Yes, it
right?
was.
I mean, people that walked in on, what do you call those little pushy crutches? You put your knee on and push it along. It's like a knee cart or whatever you call it.
Yeah, like a knee. Yeah.
They rolled up and they walked away. Didn't even realize it. It happened, Dave. So you didn't even realize he's over there laughing and joking and hugging and having a good. I'm like, you're standing, you moron. Yep. You love him so much, but there he is, looking good. So anyhow, we get up on the bench, up on the platform, going back up into the hotel, and we look, and Raj, he turns around, he looks at me, goes, "What made you pick that tree?" I said, "I didn't pick the tree. The birds picked the tree."
Yep.
And he says, "Look at them all." And I'm looking at them now. We're up high, and I can see all the trees. He goes, "I can tell you right now that's the only healthy tree in the entire parking lot." And I said, "What?" And he said, "I'm telling you the truth. That is the only healthy tree in the entire parking lot. The birds must have picked the most." And I said, "Well, he picked the tree. They picked the tree that could handle all of the burden we were asking it to absorb for us and cleanse, and then give back." That was incredible. What a day that was. See what happens when you get together with good people. These things happen, but it was cool. Henry likes trains. You like this train, Henry. It's an awesome train. But so I don't know, Brian, when I called you and I told you this, I didn't have to explain because you knew what I was talking about how everything is thinning. And more of these things are happening. And again, like I said in the beginning, my whole thought for tonight was I want to give people ideas, something positive to work with. So we gave them the cleansing. And again, there are others out there, but I need to warn you. I said this about 2 weeks ago. There's been a lot of look, you have got to come out of the mindset because good people try to think good things. And it's very hard for good people to think that evil really exists and how evil can be. Okay. So we also have a tendency to go, oh, people wouldn't. Yes, they would.
Oh, yes, they would.
They do, and they are. Okay. So get that out of your head and understand that if there's something that evil can use to take out a light worker, it will use it. There is no hesitation or compunction there. Trust me. Okay. So if you put on a meditation or a sleep tape, I want you to go through that sleep tape and listen to every 15 minutes. I don't care if it's 8 hours long, because what you're trusting is somebody you don't know on YouTube, and it may be their full intention to do right. And then somebody gets that, and in the middle, you've got like satanic chanting in the middle. That's breaking you down while you're asleep. Or they pulled this about 10 years ago. You would call these numbers. Do what?
No, I'm just saying hello to Ghost.
Oh, hey, Ghost. Oh, so, I mean, you wouldn't even know it. All right. And they tried to pull this, and you're calling like the 800 numbers and stuff like that. They weren't not just, I don't mean just like porn sites and stuff. I mean, any kind of thing like you want to, suicide prevention or whatever. And you might have gotten somebody who was gonna, not saying, just trust me. If it can be used, it's been used. So be careful what you're listening to, these sleep tapes. I want you to check them. And the reason I said this 7-minute is because I know I've listened to it. It's a good link. And 7 minutes is easy to check what you're putting in your head, but don't just trust anything, to listen to it and then go to sleep, because man, that's a bad time to get you. And I was going to also tell you that when Brian was saying about the prayers and your protection and stuff like that, if you're having any kind of problem dreams, if you're getting downloads you don't want to have, if you're getting night sweats, if you're getting any kind of bothersome stuff as a light worker at night, go ahead and pull one of Brian's prayer and print it out. Handwrite it is even stronger because you're putting your intent into the prayer. It's a spelling. Okay. So you're putting yourself into it, and put one under your pillow, put one under your foot of your bed or your mattress. And you can put one under your sheet where you sleep, or under where your head is. You put one on the wall above your head. You can do these things. And I also suggest put salt on your windowsill. And once a week, go through and change that out. If you feel like you need to do it more often, please do. There was a young man in here that was trying the onion trick to tell him where the negativity was. Do you know that one with the vinegar?
Yeah, no. Yep.
Yeah. And, do that. But these things are maintenance, and you have to continue to do them, add them to your routine. You don't just sage once and then go, my house is clean. No, that's a maintenance. That's a maintenance. You have to continue. You wouldn't just wash your hands once and say they're clean forever.
Right. Something that's very important about the breaking curses and protection prayers, that comes directly from the warriors of St. Michael. I've adapted some of it. And I allowed you to put your name in it. And I read it every day. I put my family's name in it, and I read it every day. What I do is I just copy it, paste it into a note on your phone, and just bring it up every day. And when you finish with it, I actually put a date when I've done it, just so I know I've covered that day for my own personal records, because things start getting crazy. But not only can you protect yourself, something I'm going to be talking about this week on, I do another show every other week called
please tell us all about that. Tell us about that.
Okay, so I have my own show. It's called Third Eye Live. It's on my YouTube channel. So it's youtube.com/@BryanBowden. Please like, subscribe, whatever. You'll get to it. We have a plethora of great guests that are coming on, and we're trying to leave you with something positive. This week we have Beyond Cortman. He created a watch called Yes Watch. I wear them. They're beautiful. He's giving a discount, what have you. But come Thursday, I'm doing a show at 9 in the morning called Awake Nation. And something I'm doing, I always try to leave people with something positive to look forward to. 2025 is about manifestation in a positive way. The Lord wants you to manifest a better life and peace and harmony and protection. So what I'm going to ask everybody to do is, I want you to take a piece of paper and a pencil and write down minimum of three, if not more, things you want to manifest this year. Write them down on a piece of paper. Then I want you to take the piece of paper, fold it in half. I want you to put it by your nightstand, and then fill up a glass with water, and then put it on top of that paper. Now you can cover the glass with like a Glad bag so you don't have to worry about things getting into it. But every morning for the next 7 days, I want you to take a sip of that water and take that manifestation in you that you are going to manifest this year. And at any point in time, if something negative or problems or something comes into your mind or your world, say, nope, I'm not in this timeline. I am switched to this manifestation, and that's where I want to be.
I love that.
I promise you, 7 days from now, things are going to happen. And you can continue this on. You know, I change out the water after 7 days. It does get a little stale. But do this for 7 days. The first thing you do when you wake up is take a sip of that water, put it back down on top of the note, and watch what happens to you. And it's going to be great for everybody. So I want to try to help everybody out. You can manifest a better life and peace and harmony and love and
I agree.
all this.
I agree.
So,
I agree. And it's intent too. And that whole
Yes.
thing is about intent. That whole thing is about intent. So again, cover it with a Ziploc bag, whatever you need to, and give it a whirl. And, you know, it's funny how we say in threes, you know, when we start talking about, like, if you want to connect with your spirit guides, or I always tell people start with pets, because it's so easy for a past pet to come into your dreams. But right before you go to sleep, you ask your spirit guides to bring forth that spirit. If it is their time to come and visit you, if not, please bring another, you know.
right.
Don't just leave you hanging, because here's the thing. We think that our loved ones and the pets and everybody that's passed is over there doing nothing. No, they're busy. They're doing stuff. And they're also going through their different things that they ascend into the next vibration or whatever. And they might just be, you know, kind of busy at this moment, or they know something you don't, and I would guess that they probably do, about your timing and what you're allowed to know at this moment and what you're allowed to absorb as far as information at this time. So you might not be ready to get, you know, like I had one, this one blew me away. I'll tell it real quick. I go to see a medium over something. It was a psychic, you know, and I knew most of the people there. And they knew me, and this one knew of me, but not personal details, certainly not of my childhood. And I sat in front of her, and I was going for another reason, can't remember what it was, but I had a way of sitting in front of me and just sitting. I don't say anything, you know, hi, how you doing? And then once we're done with that, we're done. You know, now we're just, you know. So she starts telling me about a spirit guide that I have, and it was time for this spirit guide to let themselves be known.
Awesome.
And I'm like, okay, I'm open. Let's hit it. You know, starts talking to me about cats. And I'm like, okay. All right, look, I was a manager at PetSmart for years. I have been fostering cats since before. I think when I was born, we lived on the haunted farm. I think my mom had 23 cats she was feeding at the time.
Right.
And, you know, so wait a minute. Okay. You're gonna have to narrow that down a minute, you know, a little bit. So she goes through all the stuff, and I'm like, no, not, you know, and it was a very specific cat. And I'm going back over all the different cats, and, you know, we're going through the names and all this stuff. She goes, no, go back. Turned out to be a cat that I lost. And I almost want to cry thinking about it now. I must have been 3-4 years old. And I remember I had a cat and was on a leash with a collar. And I had it in my grandparents' backyard, which once my grandfather had one of those push mowers that was like a circle blade mower. Like
mine too.
A literal push mower. So when he'd go to a certain and then stop, you know what I mean? So the grass got real high. And I remember taking this kitten, the kitten got away with the leash and collar on it. And I'm screaming. By the time I got in there and got help from adults, the cat's gone. We never found it. I
Right.
never got over this cat being lost. And I never got over the guilt, and I mean deep, dark guilt of having this cat with a leash and a collar. And I'm thinking he choked to death in the woods somewhere. And I could never get over this guilt. Well, here I am 50 years later, and this woman is telling me about this cat. We go all the way back, and she tells me basically the story I just told you in pieces. And I went, whoa, no, 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 no. And she says, yes, this cat was supposed to get loose. This cat knows that you have harbored this anxiety and this guilt and this all this. And I'm like, what? It was insane. It really was. You think you can't be surprised. Trust me, you can. So she says this cat was supposed to get loose, that it was in the woods for only about 2 days, that this cat got caught up in a guy's backyard who was lonely, who had no reason to get up in the morning, no friends, no nothing, got this cat. It became the best buddy of this man. It lived for years as good friend. It made all the difference in the world to this man. And when the cat lived a wonderful life, and when he finally passed over, he decided, because of our connection, that it caused me, so he brought happiness to this man, but it caused me so much pain that it was going to be my spirit guide and help me throughout my life. And this is the spirit guide that's been going through different points in my life. It blew me away.
But that is fantastic, because
the timing is timing.
It's divine timing. But something's very
Crazy.
interesting, and I do this all the time. If I go someplace and they have a tarot reader or whatever, I'm always testing them. And I sit there. It's like poker. If you have a tell, they're going to see it. And if they're, we'll call it a shyster, they're going to use it against you. Like when you said, there's a woman, an older woman named with black hair, and and you get excited, they know they're hitting on something, and then they'll just go with it. I don't sit there and move. I'm like, okay, I'm very plain Jane. You have to wow the crap out of me and tell me something that you should not know, in order to prove that you are gifted. And let me tell you, I've been through a couple of people that they're not gifted at all. And I don't disparage them, but if someone comes over, I'd say, you may want to spend your money elsewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also there's mediums that are really good, Bride, too. I found out too that and people, but sometimes you have the block, you know what I mean? Or you're not supposed to be. There's a timing here, and that's why I wanted to do tonight, to tell you guys too, that if this happens to you, stop and pay attention. Like I was telling Bride before we started, because we've been able to watch these movies, which has been great, because I can sit here and reference movies all day long to try to give you examples of something. I can say, like, okay, in The Entity, that great, was it San Bernardino case? I think it was San Bernardino or Santa Monica, somewhere around in there. But it's an actual case. And the case was so pulled apart because you had a lot of different parapsychologists, you got scientists involved. And I really wanted you guys to see the trauma that somebody goes through trying to get help in a situation that might be paranormal, supernatural, metaphysical, right? It's so hard. And then I showed you Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore. So if you hadn't seen that in a while, you're not going to get the references where I say, look at how hard it was for this ghost to get his message, a simple message across. And he's got to go to people that have some abilities, but maybe using them, to make money and really tainting them. That doesn't mean that they're not getting messages. The Whoopi Goldberg character in that movie was really good for, what we're talking about tonight, as far as what you can trust and what you can't. And, if you're getting downloads and if you're getting the veils thinning and you're getting these messages, however you're getting them, you have to be able to discern, so, grounding and cleansing, knowing your base is number one as a light worker. What's really you. That's why I brought up the venom and everything else. There's so many outside things that can change you. I know I'm not this angry all the time. I can get angry like that. I'm a damn Jersey redhead, for the love of God. I'm a trained soldier. I'm a mom of boys. I mean, what do you need, So it's just, but you have to understand, is this something I'm supposed to get control of before I cross over? Is this my
Right.
burden to tame? And how am
So
I supposed to use this? Right, Bri? Go
right,
ahead.
and what I was gonna just interject on in the Whoopi Goldberg character, she was gifted, but she got so jaded by the money
Hmm.
that she veered off her path. And this was her
So many.
realigning her chakras or whatever you want to call it
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
get to this point. Now, it's really interesting. I follow a couple of tarot readers on Instagram that I love. And I sent them the messages, I want you on the show, whatever. And one of them, I said, I got to talk to this person because messages don't convey the message. So I booked a reading with them. Oh my God, they were so spot on. It was
Mhm.
beyond belief. Now, fast forward after that, and they said they would most likely do the show. I'll see it when I believe it. But we went to a hot air balloon festival down here in Florida, and there was the $20 psychic, $20 tarot cards. So I said, you know what, for 20 bucks, I'll go read it. And I sat there blank. And this woman pulled a 12 card spread, boom, 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 like 4, 4, and 4. Oh my God. She was 100% gifted, spot on. She tried to give me the line like, you need to meditate with me. I don't need to meditate with you. You have no idea who you're dealing with, miss,
Mhm.
because I have my own abilities. But the whole thing is, if I have to act in my capacity as a light worker to realign your path, I will do it. And I think I did, because I think I shocked her a tad bit as well. But I love when you come across somebody who is fantastic. I went to the Jersey Shore a couple of years ago, like 2017, and I went to this place called the River Rock, and they happened to have a 15 minutes for $20. So I'm there with the family, and I said, you know what? This is what I do. If you give me a $20 reading, I'm going to go for it. So I sat there and I waited, and I sat there, and she told me whom she mentioned my grandfather's name. No way she should know it. She doesn't know me from Adam. So she was the real deal. And what started out as a 15-minute tarot reading, after it was over, I explained what I do and who I am. And we were talking for another 30 minutes, to the point where the next person's like, excuse me, I'm next. And she said, I'll get to you when I'm ready. And we just continued the conversation, because she knew that she wasn't reading. She knew it too. She said, I knew when I read you that you were not like anybody else I've ever met before. And I said, pardon the expression, I use the song as one of my openers. I'm a
Mhm.
motherfucking unicorn. You'll never find anybody like me. And that's what I am. So,
Now, let me ask you this.
yes.
I've never done. Now, Steve, I know, has got in his family, he's got his grandmother and his mom. They did things like reading tea leaves and things like that. I've never done anything like this. I have had people in my family, once I sat and started thinking about it, I remember my grandmother did it, but it wasn't one of those things that happen all the time. It was just, I remember her doing a couple things, tea leaves at the bottom, because at a
Yes.
certain time, I think you even get to the point where, they weren't allowing tea leaves in, because, everything's strainer in a tea bag. So, I mean, it kind of,
Right.
we move away as culture too, in a lot of different ways. But I never did anything like, had the occasion to look down a well or in a lake, like you look
Right.
back at like shows like Little House on the Prairie. I think they touched on it a couple times, and a couple of other things like looking down in the well water and scry. Basically, they're scrying. So
Right.
in the picture here, that's exactly what I'm showing. But basically, scrying is done, anything with, you know, water surface, a reflective surface of any kind that goes way back. And I've got some cards that actually have some stuff on that, but I wanted
Right.
to bring this in because Dr. Raymond Moody's going to come up here in a little bit. And there's a great piece on him. And I actually have two on him. It was earlier in the Extraordinary, which I'm guessing is around early 90s. And now we have him still going. I think he's around he's up in his 80s now, I believe, and
Yeah,
he's
he's
still
old.
giving some interviews and things like that. And I wonder how much his thoughts have changed. It doesn't seem to me that his thoughts on the afterlife has changed at all, but I think he's leaned more. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but he's leaned more away from, are you actually talking to your dead loved one, or is it a manifestation of some kind of
Right.
self hypnosis or other thing like that? What do you think going in before we see these things? What are your thoughts on scrying and stuff like that before we
Well,
get started?
Nostradamus used to use it. He would do a pensive, so he'd do a bowl with like black ink in it, and
Okay.
that's where he got his visions from.
Okay.
One of my Armenian family in Jersey, their my friend's mother and her mother used to read coffee grinds, Turkish
Okay.
coffee grinds. And one night, I said, okay. They gave me a little Turkish coffee. I took it, I tipped it over, I put it there. You leave it till the morning, and then you pop it open, and then you could read it. Now, she never told me what she saw. So that
Uh-oh.
kind of got me a little bit unnerved.
I
But,
bet.
you know, I believe it's possible. There's automatic writing, there's mirrors, anything with a reflective surface. Actually, you could do this if you have a candle and you have an area that has a mirror. Shut the lights off, put the candle in, so you just have a little bit of candlelight, and then you could use the reflective surface to actually see into.
Mm-hmm.
Something you mentioned earlier is you talking about trans channels. Now, I I wasn't a big fan of the channelers like
Mm-hmm.
Bashir and everybody. I got to be honest. It seems like a
Grassy was
parlor
another one.
trick.
Yeah,
You know what?
Grassy was another one. He's the one that
Yeah.
the most. I think that was his name. We've done a lot of that where they had the recordings of the way his voice changed and the vernacular and the words from the time and everything. It was just be so difficult to change it. I mean, I wasn't in the room.
Well,
I can't say.
yeah. I mean, but if you're a good actor, you can kind of do voices. Now, one of my good friends I grew up with, who is a trans channel medium shaman, his name is Riz Miraz. He's on the West Coast. I'm going to try to get him back on the show. I asked him. I mean, like I grew up with him. He's a trans channel, and this past summer, I took him to a special cave, stone chamber, and him, his wife, and myself were in the chamber, and he started to channel. We started playing the consonant note of A tone, and we're doing ohms. And I just do what I do, and I see things in my head. They play out like movies. And I saw this very frail Asian esque individual wearing almost like a Buddhist robe. And he was just in the dark in the shadows, and he kept throwing his robe over his shoulders to keep it, safe. And just behind him was like a window, but it was an inverted triangle. And within the window, the images started to change. And as we're going through this, and he channels this individual, I'll try to post the link to it. Before he starts talking about a spiral galaxy and how the universe is a spiral, I saw the spiral. Everything he was saying prior to him saying it, this little Asian esque person or entity that came to me was showing me just like seconds prior to it happening, coming out of Riz's mouth. Now, I was very skeptical of the channels because, I can close my eyes, do some voices and whatever. I can make it sound like Buddy Hackett's coming out, but
You're going
the
to do that before the
correlation,
night's over, by the way.
yeah,
I want to
Lady,
hear
you
some
can
Buddy
see a
Hackett.
duck, but but the fact that this took place totally changed everything for me. He was actually channeling, and I was getting a visual of it in sync. Here's some of the crazy. So every time something was coming up, they wanted me to know, and he was happy who he was channeling. They were happy that I was there because of the gifts I have. And I said in my mind's eye, this is how I operate. I said, can you please show me your face? Because you were just in the shadows, like you couldn't see it, but you felt there was a small Asian-based individual, so like a Buddha, a
Mhm.
Buddhist, or something Tibet.
Monk, yeah.
And this monk or individual entity he lightened up the area by his face, and his face in a probably about no more than 2 seconds changed the shape of his face, the race, everything. It went from boom, like
Mhm.
boom, 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 boom. All of the races.
I've seen it. It's crazy. That's the way
Okay,
that pig
it
thing
was
would just
it,
change. I can't even do my hand as fast as
it
the
was
just
so
did.
insane.
I
It
know.
was
I know. It's
mind
hard to
blowing.
describe.
And then at the end of it, he kind of faded away, and they moved closer to where this inverted triangle was with all this imagery. And there was a larger version of an entity wearing a robe, sitting with his arms on this big chair. And that zoomed in. That individual sitting in that chair was me as an older person. I was absolutely blown away. I saw my face go from where I am right now, and I aged, and I got the lines and more distinguished, and the beard was longer and white, and the hair. It was a totally wonderful experience.
Mm.
So my
You
whole
wonder.
impression.
It's almost like it shows you it's everything's a circle. You know what I mean?
Well,
It's
yeah,
like,
well, that's what they were
yeah,
trying to say. That
yeah.
the universe around us,
Hmm.
and the universe, it comprises what's on Earth and in heaven, and also down below.
Hmm.
It's a giant circle. It's intertwining,
Hmm.
and
I think in
you have.
seconds we stop it for a second, and again, that's what I think is happening now, and
Yep.
why I'm trying to come up with tools. I sit there and I think, what can I put out there that might help somebody through a rough time? What can I do to help light workers? Because I know light workers are being attacked right now. We've been saying this for like the last 4 years,
Heavily.
5 years, maybe even more, because it's been building up for this time. And now you're in this like crescendo of just bombastic energy. And it's almost like workers are holding it together. Now's not the time to go, okay, that's enough. I've had it. I've been battling all this time. You got to push in, and if you have these answers, if you know what's happening and you can see it happening around you and you're open to it, you can step right into it like it's a natural thing. Just like, okay, it's raining. I need a coat, or I need a
You're
hat.
an umbrella.
Put my collar up. Yeah, that's it. That's all you
I'm going
need.
to say this, and I don't want to offend anybody by me saying it, but I'm begging people to go find God again.
Go find something. Yeah, hang on tight
Okay,
to
and
that
that may
light.
offend people, like God doesn't exist. I mean, I've been there. If you want to see the cartoon of me cursing God and
Oh,
his scribe coming, my Lord, he's cursing you again,
yeah,
and you'll have God going, "Don't worry, I got him. He's
yeah.
mine."
I got
And
the one,
God,
and I'm screaming on my knees. This is after my mother died.
exactly.
When I did my breakdown, and that's for the first time I heard that voice loud and clear. That's been very clear ever since. There it comes in. It says, "Who are you talking to?" Then and I went, "Excuse me, what?" Oh,
Yeah,
it was
and
like, whoa!
it
It was
was
amazing.
it was an epiphany moment for me,
Yeah,
a bunch of years ago. And if anybody knows New York City, we had to go to the school for the deaf in Midtown Manhattan, and one of our friends' sons goes there. And what they do is they teach kids that are born with hearing impairment from birth on to a certain age how to live it and adapt into the world without any extra, equipment. Beautiful school. And they were doing a walk for charity. So we started a printing branding company. We really needed the job. And I'm flying down 96th Street, which is basically a 40-degree angle, like 65 miles an hour. I go to the east side. Normally I would park in a garage, but we happened to find a spot on the street. So as I back into the spot and pull forward, back in, making sure it's straight, my brakes hit the floor. I popped my brake line.
mm,
So I
mm.
said, okay, I can't deal with it. We go in, we have a great meeting. I meet my friend's son who loves me, and we get the job. And I come out and I'm yelling because I don't have the money for it. How am I going to get my car and my other half up to, where I live near Yonkers? So I say, here, take this cab. I'll call a tow truck. Meet me up at the car dealer, which is 35 miles away. And I'm screaming at God, God, I don't have the money. What the hell's wrong with you? Please help me, whatever. And then it hit me. I looked at the car. He did not allow my brakes to fail when I was going down 96th Street on a 40-degree angle. I could have
Mhm.
killed numerous people.
Mhm.
He allowed it to happen in a level parking spot. And I said, I apologize to you. I got it.
Mhm.
And that changed everything for me.
Yeah, it's all how you look at it too, and
Yep.
and again, the calmness in what was a turmoil for you, to be able to go, okay, I'm looking at this wrong, and that's what I meant in the beginning when I brought this up.
Right.
If I stop myself and I go, wait a minute, was that person just sent over here to push my buttons? So I'll make a choice to go at this different, to be humble, to go, you know what does it matter? Let them have it,
Yep.
you know, or, you know, why do I feel the need to justify myself right here? I don't. I can walk away and be fine and give it to this person. Maybe this person needs it more than I do. Whatever the situation might be,
Right.
it might be that little to you, but it might be a big thing. I mean, how many times have you guys seen road rage where that person made the choice to get out and start arguing with this person in the middle of the highway, rather than just when
Right.
that person was getting out, just go, just get out of there, do whatever you got to do to get out of
You
there,
know what?
because
Yeah.
people are not the same anymore. And the people who do get their buttons pushed are allowing them to be pushed, and they're making bad choices that change their lives forever. So
I
think
forgot
about
where
that.
I heard this. This is one of my friends this happened to. They're on a line at a checkout, and the kid's really slow. And there's a woman ahead of him, really, really slow. He's having a hard time. He doesn't look good. People start screaming in the back. You know, he has to call a manager over to do something. He's taking too long. He's fumbling,
Mhm.
and they're getting mad behind him.
And that never makes
And
it better.
no, it doesn't make it better. But
Ever.
here's the thing. So she gets up to the front, and she goes through in the groceries, and she says, "Excuse me, are you okay?"
Mhm.
Concerned because he doesn't seem right. The kid starts crying. My father died today.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
can't be there with him because I need this job to pay my rent.
Mm-hmm.
And he loses it.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy's screaming behind him, let's go, hurry up.
Get in there and you start helping them. Yeah.
So the woman that was there, friend of mine that was there talking to him, gives him a hug and says, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Turns around and gives the people hell behind her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hell yeah.
And said, this young man is here because he needs this job, but his dad died today, and you're going to shut the hell up and be
Mm-hmm.
very considerate of what he's going through.
Mm-hmm.
And it silenced everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they say, like, don't,
yeah,
before
you never
go
know.
off, yeah, you never know.
You never know. You never know.
So,
and again, we're going to watch this. A great story.
yes.
And I mean, and that's the whole thing, because again, and I'm watching what's saying in the chat. I agree, Chris, completely, because I would expect Native American NDEs to seem different, because here's the deal. I believe that we put a lot of our own into it. It's a similar ride, but what's going to be comforting to one might not be comforting to the other. What might be welcoming to one might not be welcoming to another. Because again, I can sit here and give you details from multiple different mediums and sources that would tell you that certain atheists, like George Carl, I've had 3 different, 2 were psychic mediums, 1 was a psychic, I don't know, put your own label. But anyway, they all came at different times to tell me that when George Carlin passed, his first words when he got to the other side was "no shit."
Yep.
Now that is so specific, and these people don't know each other. You see what I mean? So I could go through just all kinds of different things like that. And it was a great one. It was like, no shit. You know what I mean? This is amazing. So I think
That's
it
great,
comes,
by the way.
it isn't it? And I think it comes to you, whether you're agnostic or an atheist or any of that. But I do think you're going to have a lot of your own personal feelings and things that you recognize as comfort, and things like that are all going to have your own special flavor on it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It's really funny you said
I
that,
can too.
because like within the last 48 hours, I posted a meme that says, I'm pretty sure my last words are going to be, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah. It's great like that. It really is. Bacon to everybody. I love y'all. All right, let's watch this, because
yes,
what I want you to think about it is this way. Again, when you open up to this, remember what I told you, couple weeks ago, I know in multiple shows, the more you recognize, like say you get your 1111, if you just do to yourself and just like, okay, 1111, you walk away. Eventually, all that's going to fade out. You go, ooh, 1111. Thank you so much. I love that. Give me another. And then you get another because you're paying attention and they know you're on. So they'll test you out for, and then you'll start getting bigger and bigger and bigger things. And that's how you work your psychic muscles, your muscles to communicate, not only with your spirit guides and, whatever label you want to give all, your loved ones, all of that, your elders, all of that, ancestors. If you want to communicate with them, that's the way to do it. Another way is the right before you go to sleep, 3 nights in a row. If you skip, just start again. It's okay. It's not hard and fast like that.
Right.
So ask your spirit guides to bring in a pet that you're very close to. You want to be able to smell them. You want to be able to feel them. And you want to know it's them and they're okay. Please allow them to do that and to bring that pet through. And then once you get the pet, then try for a loved one and try to be non-specific. And the reason I say non-specific is I know people that say, my father won't come to me no matter how much I beg him. Honey, it might not be the time for that. It might not be his time. It might not be your time. Try not to make a big deal out of that and just say any of my loved ones or spirit guides who want to come through and communicate with a positive message. Say positive message. Okay, because there's people over there that want to go, you're going to hit a tree. Oh, my God. No. So just want to do a positive message, put protection on everything, and then see if they'll come through. My hand's itching. I'm getting money. So, that's what
yes, you are.
I suggest you do. Okay. And the more you do it, the more you're going to loosen up. So with this young man, this is my thought. And I want you to go in with this thought. I hate to plant seeds in your head, but I want you to look at this a little differently. Right. Imagine if you were this young man and you had lost a parent and you're going through life and you know that that's going to affect you. I can speak from experience here. I lost both mine. So I can tell you it will have an effect on your growing up. Okay. And you might be, it might be just holding it up because you're doing it's like, oh, woe is me, or why is this happening to me? Or you just feel like there's no point in really doing anything because it's going to end anyway, or whatever it may be that you're going through as a young teenager. Okay. And that has lost a parent. Now you've got that parent. I'm not saying that this parent is with you all the time. I'm saying your love connection is there all the time. But this parent also might be doing things on the other side that they have to do, but they're always checking in on you. And especially if you're in any kind of trauma, if you're thinking about them, if you're trying to make a decision, should I take this job? Should I ask this girl out? Should I ask her to marry me? All these different life thoughts, they're kind of right there, right, kind of coaching you along, right? They're not making the decision for you. They may be trying to nudge you in a certain direction, but that's where the signs and symbols and things come in. Or you get in a car and a song is playing, or you ask a question and somebody answers it, a stranger, whatever that may be. Here's this kid walking along the beach. Now, we've seen this one about 5 years ago, but it's worth seeing again from this perspective. He's walking along the beach, and all of a sudden something happens that blows his mind just right out of the water, right? Imagine if you're this kid. But I also want you to imagine you are the parent in spirit and you're walking along. This kid is probably going through something. He's thinking about the next thing he's going to do, the next job, whatever it may be. Maybe he's going to go to school, maybe not go to school, military, not military, whatever it may be. It's going through his head. He's with this chick. You know what's going through his head. But there's still other underlying life choices behind that, right? Here's the dad and sees a light worker with abilities and takes the opportunity, and it blows you away. Are you good?
I'm ready? Good. The one thing I wanted to say, though,
sure.
For those that want their parents to come, I'm just going to let you know that your parent, when you pass on, you project the image of what you want to whom you want. And if you're not ready to handle it for whatever reason, they may come to you as something you've never seen before.
Mhm.
They may be younger or
Mhm.
military or whatever. So just understand that. And Ghost Lore said there's something behind me.
Walking
So
around behind you.
it's okay. I've got
It is okay. I think
no
I think I
spirits.
saw, but I think that was his wife.
No.
No,
She's
was it? No.
no, they're
Okay.
on the they're away from me.
Okay, then just something definitely walk behind you.
Well,
For
God
sure.
bless. Welcome to the
Okay.
house.
All
Pour me
right. So
another
here it
glass.
is, and this is from The Extraordinary, the wonderful Australian show, The Extraordinary. And I'm going to get some hot water, but I'll be right back. Are you good, sweetie?
I'm good.
Okay, here we go.
May invade our sleep for a time. Nightmares follow tragedy and emotional trauma until the wounds heal and gradually fade so that we can get on with the rest of our lives. When bad memories recur, we try to shut them out, and often we can. But then comes a day when all the willpower in the world cannot stop the nightmare coming back. It came back to Colin Brooks one afternoon while he was walking on a lonely beach in far north Queensland. Even as they started their walk, it was no ordinary evening for Colin. Despite an outwardly happy appearance, he was heavy with thought about a family tragedy 6 years earlier, an event he would not share with his girlfriend. In fact, he had told no one. For some reason, images of that tragedy had begun to vividly return. It hadn't been this bad for a long time. Colin was used to keeping the pain and guilt to himself. He'd moved north from Melbourne, merged into the local tropical lifestyle, played First Division football, became pretty successful finding work around town. Life seemed to be getting back on track. Time was making amends for the tragedy. But all that day, those images had somehow come back. As Colin walked along the beach, he looked ahead and saw the faint outline of a group of people gathered around a fire. He didn't take much notice, those other thoughts playing on his mind. Yet Colin had learnt to cover his pain well. He seemed as happy-go-lucky as anyone his age should be. As they drew closer, Colin began to realise there was something unusual about the people on the beach. They sat in absolute silence. The only sound was the crackle of the fire against the rumble of the surf. He'd never seen any of them before, but that was not unusual in the tourist heart of Queensland. In darkness, those distant images grew clearer in Colin's mind. Colin Brooks' father had killed himself in the family garage, and nothing would make that sad fact go away.
I'd never been able to speak about my father and my childhood to anyone.
Just after dusk, on a barren beach on Magnetic Island off Townsville, life changed for Colin in the most dramatic and unexpected of ways. As they approached the group, sitting in a circle on the beach, Colin was to get his first real hint of something strange.
Hello, Colin. We've been expecting you.
Colin had never met these people, yet they knew his name, seemed to be waiting specifically for him.
All of a sudden it spoke to me. It spoke to me in a way that I couldn't describe. It's just things that it knew me, or she knew me very well.
Always remember, son, to take responsibility for your own life.
He didn't know it then, But Colin was about to hear the most intimate thoughts and words of his late father through the mouth of one of the women in the circle.
Your mother and I may have grown apart over the years, but I've always loved her too.
The voice changed. The face changed.
I realised then what was being conveyed to me was my father.
Sometimes life gets just a bit too much, and you can't cope.
So I hope you don't hate me for that. I've made mistakes.
She spoke in detail of his childhood,
I want you to make the same
a childhood he had revealed to no one.
I just want you to understand that I'm sorry for what happened, and I love you very much.
She spoke of private and personal hopes.
What I want you to do is move on. You must move on in life. Do it for me and for yourself.
She spoke in phrases exactly the same as Colin's father used to use.
My father used to say to me, he used to always call me a whinger as a kid. And it was those exact words. It was, stop whinging and get on with your life.
There's no point in whinging, son. You have to get on with your life.
She apologised. She spoke of love.
I've always loved you. Maybe I didn't show it, but I've always loved you, and I always will. I want you to tell Mum and all the family that I'm sorry, and I love you all very much.
It got into parts of my life that nobody could ever know.
Just wanted to stop it real quick right here. Do you hear the cadence in which she's speaking? And I'm sure this isn't exactly like it was, but the way she is speaking, the way she's putting the words together, this is exactly when my mother came back to me right before I went in the Army, how she spoke and what was important to her. And she was very matter of fact. And it was the things that were most important to her. Where in this case, this guy got a little extra because, you know, he wanted to tell, he must have been a guy that, you know, left the family, or the next thing, you know, it wasn't, you know, like he said, it was the next thing, or life gets too much, you know, forgive me for that kind of thing. This is what he was burdened with, what the father was burdened with. He had to unburden himself from that, much like we just were. So, yes. So I think it's important to know that a lot of these stories that we listen to and a lot of the ghost stories that we hear, you just want to know why the ghost doesn't blurt out just blurt it out. It's different when you're earthbound than when you're visitation. Bride, jump in before I start this again. What do you think on that?
So
because I think it's so important to understand that this is what is important to the dad.
Right. So what happens is the easy way is to go through a medium, and the medium will spit it out for you because they hear it quicker. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of energy to do what's taking place right now in this video by a spirit, especially depending on how long they've been there.
And channeling,
on top of that, there are certain rules and regulations you have to deal with, and they may not technically be allowed to tell you things, but some people say, screw it, I'm telling them, because the love that you take with you into the afterlife is the only thing you can take with you. I mean, you can take hatred too, or
right. Those lower vibrational things, those is what hold you down, if that makes sense, like the rocks in your pocket, like I say. But again, what's been the number one theme in every movie I've shown you? The love of the family is what was holding them together, an entity. As soon as that family started to break apart and it got ground where people were arguing, or she was arguing with her son, or the son felt like he was helpless, or the boyfriend left and all that, it gained energy, right? Yep. In Ghost, what did he say to Demi when he left? He goes, the love, you get to take that with you. This guy's coming back and saying, the love, it lasts, you know, love is eternal. And I think that's if there's nothing else that you guys can hold on to in times that are hard, understand this, that love is it. Love is the thing. And that's what they're always coming back to say.
Yep.
This guy got to say a little more, like, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that. I got to hear that from my mom because of the situation she left in. And she had been worried about it all this time, and I had been worried about it all this time in two completely different ways. And we both just, let it go, because life's a journey. You know what I mean? We chose this, let it go. And, everything was cool. And I think that's what this guy is trying to do for this young man. And I would love to hear like a 10-year catch up with this guy. Like, did you get on with your life? Did you get a little pep in your step? Did you let it go a little bit? I mean, I would love to hear the aftermath of it. I hope it did well. I'm going to finish it up real quick. It's only about 5 more minutes.
Channeling. Spirits in a past life using spirits in this life as a conduit to make peace with loved ones. Possible?
It's now up to you to look after mother and family.
Was Colin's father making contact 6 years after his death?
I expressed love for my mother, and the rest of my family, and it especially wanted me to convey to them that things were all right and things were better this way.
Soon after, Colin left Magnetic Island. He never saw those people again. He doesn't know who they were, where they came from, or how his path came to cross theirs.
For me, I'm a skeptic, and I've never ever seen anything so real.
You may not speak to me again, but I'll always be there for you.
The only witness to Colin's story was the girl who was with him that night, a local girl. He's long since forgotten about her, but the events of that night are as vivid as if they were yesterday. That chilling story a little later.
It's something you'll never forget.
There we go. I was hitting all the wrong buttons. Yeah, never forget, right? Well, that's the thing. I was lucky enough to get that, from somebody I needed to get it from. And, the sad part is there's never going to be enough. You're always going to want more. Okay. And that's number one. That's right off the cuff. Number two, you really aren't thinking of a lot of things to say at the time. You're just kind of like,
Yeah.
And I was
Draw
like,
down.
but what about this? And they'll be, that's when my mom went, oh, I can't tell you that, like, I think it's amazing. Like Bryce said, they can only tell you so much, or they're not allowed to tell you certain things. They can get you up to a certain point on like what's going on the other side and stuff, but they don't want to give you the, the whole rule book, because that's kind of cheating, with all the rules and stuff. We talk about who's got the book of rules. The colors that I pulled up a couple weeks ago blew my mind.
That was great.
Are you joking me? 1901, you're writing this? Where did they get it from? I can go all the way back to Ben Franklin. He's the one that's sitting there with different colored cloths and different type of cloth on snow to see which color held the most sunlight and warmed up the most. This is where we get can you believe this? Such a simple scientific thing that he's doing. I don't know how clinical it was, but it was Ben Franklin. So, you cut him some slack. So he's out there, and he's the one that was the first one to write down that the color black absorbs the most heat. And, this is going to retain, of course, it's written a lot more eloquent than I'm saying it now. But then the white was actually sitting on top of the snow because it absorbed no heat at all. It was amazing. So, but who's the one who said that bright pink orbs meant love and accommodating and, just comfort? And it's crazy, but they're the colors of the aura.
Yes.
So
your aura is your key. So
the one who wrote everything wrote it.
Yeah.
It's like herbs. Like who found out that, garlic kills this, or peppermint soothes, how many people had to die doing these experimentations, like, let's not do that. It's not good for that. We don't give arsenic to, such as for, a bad back or whatever. But just imagine the paranormal is still going through that. We're still going through that phase of, don't do that or you'll die.
Something that's very important, for everybody is, you see it a lot on TikTok and all these other places. There are these books about cures, natural cures. Now, none of us are doctors, and you can always want to check with your physician. So we cover the the Google algorithm, and we're protecting you. But,
the inner tubes, yeah.
Yeah, you may want to look into some of the cures that they had in the old days. They knew their things.
Back to nature is the way to go, baby.
Right. And Native Americans knew it. And the thing is, according to what was been written in numerous type of scriptures, not the ones that were converted and edited for their footnotes, everything God put on this planet is here to cure you.
And the things that hurt you, and it wild, like the things next to poison sumac, where you break you out, the cure is growing right next to it. There's certain plants that grow where poisonous snakes, the antidote to the poisonous snake, the plant's going to grow where that snake lives. I mean,
right.
It makes perfect sense. But then again, you think, a divine hand must have been involved in all that to have all that going down. But there's the thing. I think something you said, kind of clicked it in my mind. I think the paranormal is constantly going through this because death isn't the end. And, so by it dying off or killing it off or whatever it is, it doesn't end for us. We continue. So then what happens? You know what I mean? That's where we are. So it doesn't end for us. We continue on with the what ifs and the questions and the, and everything else. But, in this case with this kid, I think it was so profound. Because like he said, I'm a skeptic. He wasn't a real big, but this hit him so hard in the chest. And he's with this girl who doesn't really know him. And, he doesn't know these people's, never met him. And I forgot that they knew him by name and said, we've been waiting for you. So she must have said, hey, this guy's going to come by.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling I'm going to have a message for him. We don't know what went down before.
No, we don't.
But man, I'll tell you, this is happening a lot more to people. And I'm starting to get it where I'm in a public place and I'm starting to really get things off of people. It's popping like this. And I wonder if it's happening for you guys. Go ahead.
Well, I have to thank Cisco again for this because 2 years ago, I was bringing my kids to Florida because they go to school like August 10th. I probably would have killed myself if I had to go to school in August. It started back up. So we went out to dinner. It was just my two daughters and myself at a place, and our waitress came over, and they're facing me, and I'm just by myself on one side. And this other waitress comes out, and I instantaneously started getting a vision. Her at night, last call, a large, heavy-set Latino male, 5 o'clock shadow. By the way, the term 5 o'clock shadow was created by my great uncle,
oh, wow.
Mosquito. Yes, American Safety Razor, which is something to know. And he's like, oh, I'll take you home. Don't worry about taking you home. And the next scene I saw was this woman, young lady, dead, lying in the grass, blank stare, blue around the face. And it blew me away because as a father, I'm like, I gotta warn this woman somehow. And I've never had that before. So I'm looking through I said, I'll be right back, girls. And I'm looking and I'm like, Cisco, boom. And I gave her a call and she goes, I got you. And she says, you tell them I'm a medium and I have a caution for you. And then you tell them what to do. So I said, okay, I'm a medium of caution. And it got to the end of the night. I went to pay my bill in the back, hoping she would come out. She didn't. And I felt weird when I was leaving and I saw her come out. So I walked over to her and she got a little startled. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. I'm a medium. I have a caution for you. If you're late, don't take the ride, take the Uber. And she's like, what'd you just say? She served her thing and said, I'm a medium. And I got a caution message for you. Do not take the ride from someone at the bar, no matter if it's here or not. Call an Uber. So she said, okay, thank you. Now I got out of there because I felt weird. And also, God forbid something happened to her, I would have been primary suspect. That's how it works.
Yes.
So I was a little upset by it. So about a year goes by. I avoided that place like the plague. And then we happened to come back into it with a couple of people. And as I'm walking out, the woman goes, excuse me, sir. And I turn around. She goes, you were the one that told me to take the Uber, right? I said, yes. She goes, thank you. Because I did that. I was at the bar. It was late. It was a weird guy. I took the Uber. But the girl that was here with us, she went with them and she got beat up.
And there it is. And here's the thing. Anytime I get a call like that, I always say, I had to come to it doesn't matter what happens to me. Because everybody I know that does this, the things that people have gone through. I mean, the lady who, I'm not going to say her name, but she had this one girl that kept coming up. She was a murder victim. She kept coming up. She's popping in the back seat. She's taking her kids to school. She's showing up and she's trying to work on the computer. She's standing there. We went through this whole thing. This woman, 9 hours in interrogation. The cops thought, because what do you do? I know where her body is. I know where the body's buried. I know this. I mean, it took them so long to go through the red tape to get to the evidence to find out that this case was before she was, able to pull it off, and then they're coming back and they want to know what happened. And this is why I show you the movies. This is why I show you the things that the lady from Entity had to go through, the scientific people, the you should be in a padded cell people, let's give you drugs people, it's you, you're the one that's doing this, you want to have sex with your kids, you're oppressed, and it's just the crap you got to go through. And whoever is doing this to you, if they are on the negative side, especially if they were never human to begin with and they just get off on this shit, you know what I'm saying? And this literally, you know what I mean? They just want you destroyed. Make no bones about it. They want you destroyed, your family destroyed, your household destroyed, everybody that likes you destroyed. They want all of it. Just it's total destruction. Then you can't allow it to happen. So when it's trying to push you away, you got to pull in all that love and you go, look, and how many of these doggone cases have we looked at, that are like this? And it's the same with, I showed you the one, what's the name of it? The House That Would Not Die. And there's a reason I picked these movies, because they kind of go with what we just talked about, or it's a good example, or, what to do, what not to do, something along those lines, or teaching movies. Because I've got people that say, and Brian showed me a good one too, that's going to be coming up. But, people say movies, oh, show this one. I can do that on another day, but Tuesday nights are for us to watch a flick that goes with something that's coming up or something we just talked about with this good example in it. And one of those is The House That Would Not Die. They had that haunting down correctly. And what was happening in that haunting, they had a seance and 2 different ghosts were powerful enough. They had the ability and the knowledge to be a jumper, and they're jumping into these people and channeling because they have, I don't know, Bri, either these people have abilities and aren't aware of it. They have cracks in their windshield and they're easy to jump. I mean, there's so many different reasons that it could have happened to them and not the other people at the table. There's so many reasons.
You mentioned it earlier. It's your aura.
Yeah.
So your aura is your calling card. And if you are suffering from, alcohol or illicit drugs or sickness or depression or something like that, your aura is weaker. So that's like, oh, crack in the window, I'm going in that one. And then most people don't realize they're being utilized as a vessel.
Right.
Right. Especially in public like this, like where
and completely lose. You have no knowledge. Look, I say that all the time, especially when Lynn is on. Brian and I have different energy. We sync well together. So it's not zipping. It's not like Ricochet Rabbit in here right now with the energy. Everything's copacetic. But I get with certain people, and it's like our energy, it's just all over. It's like PK craziness and certain people. And it's a good thing sometimes, and it's not a good thing sometimes, because it can affect you in a different way as well. It's draining. It's so draining. But with certain people, I'll go ahead and I'll open up. I'll tell my spirit guides, look, I feel like tonight might go in a different way that I had planned. That's why so many of my shows start off, we're going to talk about Gumby, and we're over here talking about sneakers. Totally something different. That's them. That's not me. Because they'll jump in and I start getting this whisper, and it's almost like a couple of different voices. So it's like some of your spirit guides will get with mine because they're good listeners, and they'll go, yeah, she'll say it. Yeah. And they'll say stuff, and I'll be like, you'll see my face go, what? You want me
Yeah.
to say what? Okay. And as soon as I say okay, I hardly remember what I said because it's not me.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Lynn, who I love to death. She's wonderful, fantastic, but there are times she's like the espresso energy, and you're not expecting a glass of espresso.
Uh-huh.
It's like, whoa, slow
sometimes,
down.
yeah. Well, sometimes it's for me, and she can't help it. It's her energy. It's
No,
just
she
the
can't help it.
energy. She's her energy, and it's and again, we get together, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's like playing pickleball and trying to smoke I don't know what, and flip pancakes at the same time and spin plates.
It's literally a circus
until
act
we
out of
can get,
yeah,
and then we're good, and then
Yeah.
we'll start firing. But when we're doing this, now it's that energy is on a flow and they start talking and I'm going, it's like Lynn wants to, and I'm like, no, they want me to say, and there I go, because then I just start talking and I have no idea. I come out of it and I go, was that, what are we talking about? I'm looking at the chat and I'm going, what were we talking about? And I get really crazy, but it happens that way. It happens a lot lately because once you open, Brian, I know this has happened to you, all our lives around us go to shit. Everybody around us goes stark raving, and
miserable.
people, and you see them getting hit and you see things happen to them and all these distractions and everything else. And the people that know me will go, wait a minute, what's going on? Because we need to regroup here.
Yeah.
So if that's happening in your families, if you see that kind of thing, recognize it for what it is. Be like this young man and just take the message, take a good look at what's going around and going, okay, and then you do that serenity prayer thing. It's like the wisdom, accept change the things I can, the strength to do that, and the wisdom to know the difference and all that kind of mess. Because listen, you can't fix everything. Light workers, you can't do it. If anybody's getting downloads, this next story is a real quick one, but sure. It's those quick premonitions. Like, why am I getting flashes? Brian, this happens all the time.
All the time.
Sometimes I'll call them, I'll go, what the hell are you doing? Are you thinking about me? What are you doing? You dragging me into something? Because I got a lot going on, but we don't mean to do it to each other, you see, because there's a connection. Once you make a paranormal chain, I say paranormal chain all the time, and I literally mean it. I literally mean it because you're linked together. Once you, should you accept this mission, and you're self-destruct because that's what you're going to do. It's costly. And you guys, if you're here and you took that mission, even if you're a light worker living in the middle of the woods by yourself, you're revamping that area with your energy, and it's revamping you with its energy. You are light working, even if you are just in nature. Understand how important that is. As much as nature needs that camaraderie right now, that is a really solid role. So don't think that if you're by yourself and you're in a solo situation that you're not putting light out into the world, because you are. Okay. And if you're infirmed in any way, now you're needing to draw that healing light in from the nature and from your other light worker friends and from that love and that love connection. You see? So that's why just being in the chat 2 or 3 times a week with people that in the familiar energy in that family, it's so important because it's so healing. You need that connection in.
Yep.
That's light working. You're giving, you're taking, and you're giving back. And that's light working. If you're the person, I don't care if you're a teacher over 40 kids and you're just trying to be a smile in their day, and you are doing that on purpose, you are a light worker. So don't put yourself into a small little thimble when you're a great big ocean of light.
Right.
Don't diminish your light. Okay. So when you start opening up again, you're going to get little things like these flash things. Bri, you get these a lot. I get these a lot. And I'm like, why are you showing me this? And I'll start thinking, perfect example. Steve's motorcycle dude, Cool Breeze,
right.
Very powerful. All of us were involved in that one. We each had a part, and different things like that. You'll find that you start getting into those little groups. Like maybe it's a sister you talk to and she doesn't realize that she's part of your energy where you're helping, but she or he somehow recharges you instead of takes from you. Does this make sense? Not an energy vampire, but you're getting something from them. You're laughing, you're joking, you feel better when you get off the phone, you feel better when you leave the conversation rather than drained. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
You know?
It's sometimes you get these thoughts and like, I knew Cisco's going through a problem, but I also know that I know when to back away to let her solve some of this but I'm ready and willing at a split second notice to go in and fight the battle with her.
Yep.
That's what we do.
Brian usually just feels bad for whatever I'm battling.
I really do.
He's just kind of like, oh my God. Okay.
You don't know who you're messing with. I really would stop.
I'm relentless, dude. I mean, it's just, I will not. I'm not having it. I'm not having
You know what? And that's the attitude I've had for a couple of years now. Something I didn't mention, but it was when Cisco invited me on, and it's actually important because we're talking about near death. Today is my second birthday. On March 2nd, 2023. It was a great day, starting off with my cousin's daughter having their first child named Elise at 10:39 in the morning. And it ended, and that baby was born. I'm so happy for him. And my uncle, who passed away earlier, my cousin said, well, I wish my dad was here to see it. I said, what makes you think he wasn't? Because he was there. He helped through the process. Well, let's fast forward. I had a massive widowmaker heart attack at 9:00 at night.
You did.
And I was praying to everybody, including my uncle, asking for help. And the stent that basically gave me my life back, where I was, reborn, went in at 10:39 p.m. So, talk about near death. I mean,
I know
it was so bad that the cardiologist that I went to after said, you had a widowmaker. And he's like, I was 100% blocked. I should have been dead.
It's crazy, right?
And the Lord, I mean, I'm going to say it, God had other plans for me.
Mm-hmm.
And something else that happened after they put it in, they wheeled me out. The surgeon was there explaining to my wife and a friend of ours what was taking place. So they said, Brian, this is the surgeon who saved your life. I said, thank you for saving my life. And I said that to everybody that picked me up, from the EMS to the team I met in the emergency, until everybody. And he said, well, I was just telling your wife that I read about this, but this is the first time I've seen it. I had a right branch problem. He said, your right branch grew its own bypass. Think about that. And without missing a beat, I said, must be those alien implants. And he was like, what the hell is the guy on? And everybody's like, no, doctor, he does paranormal stuff.
Yeah,
so,
it's one of those. Isn't that funny though? That's wild, right? Yeah.
So
I mean, you just never know. I'm glad you're here. I'll play your card again. So what do? Everybody's just saying, I make them a video. And I'm like, here, you bastard. They get better. We're not having that either. Yeah.
We're not having that.
We're not having that.
Okay, you've been down. Let's go back. Get back to work.
Back up. We gotta go.
Back to work.
Let's back to work.
Yep.
But that's it. It's near death. I mean, I know I had one for sure. I've told you guys that. I was outside of my body watching myself. I still have the scar from it. I actually saw my chin. I was caught in the undertow backwards. I was bent backwards, so I could see myself doing this. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And I'm outside of my body watching it, and I see my chin drag on the bottom of the sand, of the sandbar, and then I'm blacked out. I can't tell you that I saw lights and all that, because the next thing I remember was being on the beach, and I remember seeing the wave come up. So if you've ever been on the beach and you're laying there where the waves break, it'll go over you and then it goes back, and the foam is left and there's bubbles. So we used to always look for sand crabs and stuff. So I come out of it, and I remember opening my eyes and seeing the foam, and seeing the foam around me was pink from the blood from my chin, because it was just gushing. And I remember lifting my head up and looking around, and the closest people to me were way off. And there was just like, at one point in time, I just saw this one woman in a bikini kind of like stand up. She was a mom, with a hat. And she stands up and she's looking towards me, and I have no idea what she's saying. And I looked down below me, and I saw the blood, And then I kind of started realizing what was happening, and I pushed myself up. I looked around me because I wanted to thank whoever pulled me out. No footprints around me.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, those waves where I was at the break were not strong enough to push me out. It would have to push me 15, feet minimum to get that. So there was nobody around me. I have no idea how I got out of that water. But again, I was not meant to go at that time. So if you are having any kind of short bursts like this lady coming up. Now, this is, again, The Extraordinary from Australia. It is available on YouTube. I think there's 52 episodes. They're about an hour long a piece, and each one is like this. It has little breaks in it. It's kind of like an old Unsolved Mysteries kind of.
Yep.
And they have all these different stories in them. It's fantastic. So if you're looking for something to watch, it is free on YouTube. Just look up The Extraordinary, and it should pop up. You'll see Warwick Moss. You can't miss him. Good old Strawberry. So it's a wonderful show. But this lady was not used to getting premonitions. So like Steve gets them, Bri gets them. I'm getting them lately. That wasn't something I got a lot of. So like what I mean is, like, I didn't have a lot of dreams where I knew there was going to be an accident and I try to prevent it. I'm more of the person where I'm walking along, minding my own business, tell such and such to check their left back tire. So it would be wasted in my house because I have sons, and I'd say, check your back left tire. And both of them would turn around and call me and go, you're jinxing me. You're calling it. You're manifesting it. Don't say that stuff. So I could never even get the kudos for getting a premonition right, because they think I might have caused it. My sons don't have paranormal kids. So that's the thing there. But if you get that, mark it. Don't let it eat you up. And I'll tell you why. There are, I would say, probably more than 4 kinds of people that get premonitions. The 2 main ones are people like Steve, who get these profound, prolific, going to be a construction, a building's going to fall, a bridge is going to fall. And he goes crazy trying to find it so he can stop it. This will make you crazy, and you're probably not meant to stop it. I don't think you get them to stop them. I think it's almost, Brian, I'm going to need your vocabulary for this one, because I think it's more like a shock wave of some kind out of time that just echoes this travesty that's going to happen, and you're picking it up like a radio signal. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it's like we talked before. It's a caution, and what you're supposed to do, because of Steve, who he is a prolific writer, and he does have a fan base. Say, be careful today at the high rises.
And that's it.
I got a bad feeling. Just be prepared. If something happens, get out of the building as fast as possible. And that's what you're supposed to do. You know what? You're not going to stop it.
Right. And I think it is. I think it's just maybe an echo of some kind, or like a radio waves in the air that your frequency is picking up at the time. But I think those are different than what Brian and I got, like what he got with the waitress, what I normally get, where it'll say, go tell this person such and such, because it does seem like I'm able to do something with those cautionary tales. But when you get one where it's going to be an airplane's going to crash, listen, you're going to go through all kind of crazy stuff. You're going to call the airport, even if you have the name and the tail number of the plane. You're not going to be able to stop it. They're not going to stop it, the plane. No. So don't go crazy with it. Try to see if there's, what I want you to do is ask your guides, what am I supposed to do with this information? Can you guide me, or at least give me the strength to help others through it? Right. And see if that helps you, because this lady had a very small one, but it turned out to be big for her, and it came in an odd way. So I wanted you to see that, so you can kind of add it to any experiences you guys are having. Are you ready, Bri? Are you good? I'm going to go get some more hot water.
Roll the beautiful bean footage.
Bean footage. You and Steve both. Okay, here we go.
The dead. They concern spirits that have not passed over to the other side. Restless spirits.
Oh, this one, the one I told you about is right behind that one. Bri, you got to see this one. If you go away, listen. This is so weird. This is a ghost that breaks all the rules. This isn't a doppelganger, and it's not a twin. This is almost like a time slip, Bri, where it's the guy's alive, but they keep
Yep.
seeing him. This is crazy, but enjoy it. Here we go.
Oh, I will.
That linger here on Earth. But there's a man who has appeared as a ghost to his family and close friends, whose story is hard to ignore. You see, this man, this ghost, is very much alive. The story of the living ghost begins in Lima, Peru. Maria is 7 years old, and it's an exciting day for her. She's just won a medal for her schoolwork, and she can't wait to show it to her favourite uncle, Uncle Louis. As Maria approaches her grandparents' home, she sees her uncle in the distance. Or does she?
He opened the door into the garden of my grandparents and went inside and closed the door. So I walked in and I immediately ran into the kitchen as I usually do, but this time instead of saying hello grandmother, I said hello Uncle Louis. And there was no Uncle Louis there in the kitchen. So my grandmother says, well, he hasn't arrived yet, dear. And I says, but I just saw him come in.
Years later, in a beachside suburb of Sydney, Australia, another child has an alarmingly similar experience. The boy is Ladi Mauer. It's a winter's afternoon, the height of the football season. He and a friend are practicing in the garden of Ladi's house at DY.
And we were playing out in the front yard, and I saw my dad coming up the street, coming home from work, and I said to myself, you know, my dad's coming home early. So he walked past us, and I said, hi, Dad, and he didn't reply or didn't say anything, and he no hi back. And I said hi again, and he didn't answer me. He walked past us, and he was very concentrated on what he was doing. I thought to myself, that's odd. So I thought I'd follow him and greet him inside. When he walked into the front door, he opened it and closed it behind him. And I opened the door, and when I opened it, he wasn't there.
12-year-old Ladi was astonished and just a little hurt. Why had his father snubbed him, and where was he? He searched the house, but failed to find an answer to either question. There was no sign of his father, even though he'd appeared so clearly just minutes before.
So I said to my mother, which she was cooking at the time, where's Dad? And she said, at work. And I said, no, he's not. He should be somewhere at home because he just walked past me. And she says, no, your he's at work.
The Uncle Louis in Lima, Peru, and the father in Sydney, Australia, were one and the same person, Louis Mauer. At first, you might think that 7-year-old Maria and 12-year-old Ladi saw his ghost, even though the sightings were years apart. But no. You see, Louis Mauer was very much alive then, and he's very much alive now.
Well, if somebody phoned and said that they just saw me wandering into the house, I would say, well, right, that's my wandering ghost. But it's not me.
Louis Mauer is now an Australian citizen, but he spent much of his youth and early married life in Peru. Both he and his son Ladi cannot explain how he can seem to be in two places at once. But somehow it's happened. Time and time again. Dad's ghost, as the family jokingly call this weird phenomenon.
I saw him walk past me, and you know, it was probably from here to you, and he walked past me and he opened that door and he closed it in front of me. You know, so I did see him.
Maria is now also living in Australia, but in Canberra, where she practices as a psychologist. Since those days back in Peru, there's been a close bond between her and her Uncle Louis. In fact, she calls him her second father. But not even that bond can provide her with a clue to what happened that day when she was a little girl of 7.
They told me that probably I had seen somebody else. And I started to get a little confused, though I thought always I had seen him. Because there's no one else that would look like my Uncle Louis in all of Lima. You know, he had a unique way of walking, a unique posture, and his style, his looks are quite unique.
And that wasn't the only time her uncle appeared, apparently in absentia. Some years after the first experience, she was going to see her uncle and his wife at their home.
As I was turning in, I could see my Uncle Louis walking and going into the house. And I came close, and I thought if I rush, I'll surprise him and I'll get him before he enters the door. So I crossed the street and I rushed, but by that time he just went in, so I was a little slow. And as he went in, he closed the door behind him, so I immediately went in. The door was unlocked, because most of the times in those times we left the doors unlocked in our country. And but he wasn't there. Actually, there was no one there except the servants and the children. And the servants told me that my Uncle Louis and my Auntie Teddy had gone out for dinner. They weren't at home. They had left about an hour before.
Louis Mauer knows of at least 5 cases where he's made these mysterious visits to his family, even though he was nowhere near the location at the time. On one occasion, his mother witnessed the event, and at the time, she was convinced that Louis was dead, that his ghost had come to say farewell.
She saw me open the gate, go into the garden, and instead of going towards her and towards our usual entry that was on the side of the house, I went up the veranda and around the other side of the house towards the dining room doors. So she said, you know, there's something has happened to him that he won't see me, or won't talk to me. So she chased after me, got to the doors to the dining room. They were closed or locked. So then she went around into the house and looking for me and couldn't find me. So then she thought I was dead. She started crying, and 15 minutes later I arrived, and they explained what had happened to. And I had been driving during that time, so I don't know what I was thinking. I must have been concentrating on my driving.
Then there was the time, also in Peru, when his wife was startled to hear noises coming from his study. In those days, Louis was a ham radio operator, but that day his wife was certain he was at work.
She heard me starting to, clicking the switches on and getting my transmitter ready to transmit, and heard me clear my throat and then tapping Morse code. So she went downstairs thinking, that's odd. He's come into the house. This was in the middle of the day and hasn't said hello to me. She could see into the room and I wasn't there. So then, she didn't phone me then because she knew it was one of these ghostly appearances of mine. But I can clear my throat. But nobody have ever heard me speak and say a word.
And while we were talking to Louis and his family, he suddenly remembered another appearance, one that happened years ago. However, this time he had no idea that the visit had occurred, a visit to Peru, while he was definitely in Australia.
I got a letter recently from a stepmother, and one of the things she says is that my father saw me at the foot of his bed a day before he died. Well, that was around 12 years ago. I was here and he was there in Peru. So it was quite a long traveling for my ghost.
A ghost? But Louis Mauer is very much alive. A twin? Well, Louis says there isn't one. What then is the explanation? How can one man be in 2 places at once, sometimes continents apart?
I wish somebody could explain them to me, because it's snowballing. I should have an alibi for every minute of my life, because if they see me in the murder scene, I'm going to be in trouble.
Incredible. I have no explanation. What do you think?
I think it's the power of love in your heart.
Yeah, but here's the deal. And I'm all for that. But when I break it down, you've got similar things happening where he's walking up the sidewalk. People see him going up the walk, going in the door. Seems like he's going in the door, doesn't notice somebody's behind him. Door shuts. They just miss it. That happened twice, I believe. Right, chat? Okay. Yeah. That I can see that as maybe time slip. He's done this path before, just like we see ghosts doing a residual, repeating the same in a loop. Okay, maybe the timing, something along those lines. I can't explain that he's at the foot of the bed in a different continent. Somebody was sick, and he says like his father was something like that. So he would know his son. Those things blow my mind. I kind of see something like an overlap of this, where we've asked questions about, are we haunting ourselves when we hear our footsteps coming down the stairs? Could it have been us, like Tuesday? You know what I'm saying?
Another thing that it can be is that, and it depends on energy and what's going on in each location, where you're seeing, there's multiple timelines. Right now, there's a podcast going on with you and me in a different, they're talking.
And I'm still talking. I'm still talking.
Right, you're still talking. and so what
Eat
can
that,
happen
inner
is
tubes.
You could be witnessing, a break in the time, the different lines.
Incredible.
And
It's incredible.
At one point, he's walking in a path, like when he's in Peru, he's walking in Peru in one timeline, but he's still in the current timeline in Australia, and vice versa.
So again, it adds to the possibilities in my book. As far as goes, I think it fits because I think here we have a living example of what I would consider a residual haunting might be. It goes on that in that chapter of me questioning, if we're hearing footprints down the stairs, is that me? Bringing laundry down Tuesday? Right. It's possible. I don't know.
So the underlying theme here is both the son of Louis and the niece adore him, and the father adores him.
Riding on the love, maybe that's enough for the energy to input
and
to make it manifest.
Right, you can actually
maybe it's there all the time, Brian. Maybe it's there all the time, and it's just they're the needle on the thread of the vinyl of the LP that's playing constantly.
Yep.
Good God, I need more funny, honey. But think about it. But we don't know, right? We're just spitballing.
No,
and
we don't know.
But here's the reason I know now why I pulled this chat, because a couple of Tuesdays ago, our movie of the week was Frequency. And in Frequency, fantastic flick. Yes. You've got Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel and father and son and the ham radio. So because she hears him with the ham radio and the clearing of the throat and the tapping of the Morse code and stuff. So that's why I probably pulled it. But perfect example. Is this just another? All the frequencies are just right. The forest is, the soil is correct for the seed to grow. Whatever it is, the time slip. It blows my mind.
Well,
because again, it was Aurora Borealis or something kicked it off of the ham radio in Frequency in the movie. But here, maybe it was a love.
His love for ham radio, his love for his niece, his love for his son, his love for his sister, his love for his father. I mean, this is why, like, when people pass away and you love them, they never really go. They're there. And
the love
remains. Really
interesting
you mentioned Frequency because right now around each one of us, I'm in Florida, you're in where you are. If you were able to fine-tune this frequency, we may see, 10 people behind me and, 7 behind you and probably like 60 cats.
This is what I'm saying. Like, they're there all the time.
Yeah.
Because like, look, I got medium friends like Sixth Sense on, steroids where, they more than CD. I have people, and Brian does too, who walk up to us and say stuff like, oh, how you doing? You have death all around you. Whoa, wait a minute. Excuse me. How are you? I'm good. Can you get be more specific. Is it, a guy in a black sheet and a sickle, or is there just a lot of people that need my attention? We need to be more specific here. But that's what I'm saying about this story. There's so many levels to this. It seems like, a sweet little story that you'd see on, this show, but I think it's deeper. It's different because I think it opens up a whole nother, maybe adds a chapter to some people's paranormal book, binders. Let's bring up binders. Shut up. Listen. Oh, that reminds me. Let me stop there for a second because this is a perfect segue to this. Brian and I are thinking about having a weekly show. Now we're trying to sort and settle with fam, and living conditions and studio, producers. We need to get with the staff and see everything's okay. But we're trying to come up with a time, maybe a Saturday, maybe Saturday night, maybe a late night, for the adults.
Sure.
And on Rumble only because our mouths, because this is an unchained, no holds barred.
Oh, we're gonna get
weekly. It's just a done deal. It's a weekly catch up because we feel, and we could be wrong, but we feel that there might be a few things going on that maybe you guys would like to talk about. And look, there's a lot of people out there you could be listening to. You don't need to be listening to our mugs. But here's the thing. We know some shit. So you might want to tune in. We're thinking about Saturday night-ish. And, and a weekly catch up, like, a current events, conspiracy, a little Flight 800. Could it be that possibly some lies were told here and there? Maybe a little fib now and then. And we'd like to dig some of that up. And like I said, we know some things, we know some people, and we want to have a show where we do that. But I definitely want to have when we do a weekly catch up on current events, because there might be some things going on that you might want to talk about. And this would be, you've heard of the green room. This is the blackout room. This is going to be
the bug out room.
Thunderstruck, unhinged, unburdened by what has been news and current events. And
you went there. Just went there.
Honey, I've been living it.
What has been?
I've been living it. I am no longer calling this New Jersey. This is God help us, Jersey.
Yes.
There's no new about it. Everything old is new again, right? So, look, guys, if you want to go to a place where, look, there will be no shortage of opinion, theory, anecdotes. Did you freaking see this shit? And what do you think's going on behind the scenes? Brian's got connections into multiple things that I do not. So I lean on him in certain cases, in certain things. And, then there's me. I've got an opinion on anything you can stick out there. So unleash the verbal beast. So that's what we're going to do. So if you want to get with us, stay tuned. We don't have all the details yet. But I want to have a show where we pull up some things off of X. You might not have Truth Social, X, Reddit, things like this. You might not watch TV anymore. A lot of people are sick of the news, especially light workers, because there's so many bad frequencies in it. This will not be a bad frequency show. This will be get it out. And if you want to, bang your fists on the wall and point fingers and give a few fingers, this will be the show for you. So we're thinking about that. And also don't forget to check out Brian's. Now, listen, before we go, I know it's 10 o'clock and it's time to get out of here, but I wanted to leave you with a little Moody. So I've got 2 minutes of Moody. The reason I wanted to bring up Scrying, and we didn't get in depth on the whole thing, but I think you heard what they wanted you to hear tonight. I know that sounds crazy. If you go back and you listen, or you were here live, you might find something in there that might help you get over some kind of hump you're going through coming up in your life. If you're listening to this show, you're interested in at least a ghost and what's out there and the existence of, does evil really exist? Well, shortcut to that, here's your cliff note. Yes, it does. And it's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. But here's the good news. We know what beats it. And we're really good at that. And we're really badass too. So there's that. And The things that our army is amazing. It's growing every day. Light workers are fantastic. They're waking up. Their consciousness is blowing through the roof. They're getting downloads. They're getting wisdoms. It's crazy, and I love it. I love it. I love it. But it does take a lot of energy, and we also need to find what works for us, and that could be the hardest thing in being on this journey. You think and then something happens and it knocks you off your track, and we need to find ways back. So scrying might be it for you. Bri, I don't know how much you've practiced this and what you've done. I'm going to give a real quick here, just saying what it is, and then I'm going to show this 2 minutes of Moody. But Psychomanyeum is a small dark chamber used to facilitate communication with a particular departed soul. Its origin stems from an ancient Greek ritual for contacting those in the spirit realm. That's your basic. Okay. Now you can break that down to, we're going to have a dark room. We're going to keep, the least amount of light as possible. This is one time. It's okay. Least amount of light as possible. You still carry yours with you. Don't get stressed, crazy. You are carrying your light with you. But you want to have a mirror where you're kind of off a little bit and you're looking at, candlelight or light behind you, and you're getting that reflection. So you can do that kind of thing. Some people use it to meditate and to ground, to connect with spirit guides, to do this kind of thing. Again, I don't want to use the word caution loosely here, but I think with anything, you always put down protection first. And because I want you to know that this isn't just a jump in kind of thing, people tend to, I don't know how you feel about this, Brian, but I'm sure you agree with me here, that people tend to jump into things like, you're hearing a lot about people fasting now, no matter whether you're in the paranormal or not. You're hearing a lot of people getting back to those basics, and it's because they feel that it's a sacrifice, a self-sacrifice. So they sacrifice something. A lot of these different cultures and religions bring this in, and it's fine because I think it has a basis to it. There's a cleansing to it. Yes, giving up something, going without something, a sacrifice. When you go back to the teachings where Moody and people like that developed this from, it's going to tell you that there's a ritual to it. It passed through this one. This is about the Greek, and this is more. Okay. Here we go. Preparing for the experience. When you go back, look at this, Brian. Go ahead. Say what you want to say.
Yeah. No, I'm saying this is where the crystal ball thing came in when you talk about mystics.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But again, we tend to jump to, when we go back in our childhood, we see movies. Now that you mentioned, mystics and stuff like that, the old gypsy with the crystal ball, you go through the curtains and stuff like I have here. You go through the curtains and you're entering a different feeling, a different vibe, right? That's really all we saw. You didn't see what the real medium went through, or the real light worker goes through, or the real card reader, whatever ability they have goes through to prepare to be able to do those things. You'll hear little things like, don't drink before you go on an investigation. Don't drink before you go on to do a reading or go to a reading. Anything that can alter alter your vibe, drink, drugs, anything has an effect, right? And it can weaken you and make you more susceptible. It also blocks stuff. So there's something to the cleansing and the preparation before you do something like this. And I thought it was important to point out, because it's not just something you jump in. And what I mean by the movies and books and things like that, they don't tend to focus on it because it's not sexy. They just jump to the reading. They just jump to the investigation or whatever. On this show, we talk a lot about what is the cost to somebody that goes through this for someone. We're so quick to criticize them and go, oh, this person did it for the money, or that person's doing it for the fame or the show or whatever. A lot of them aren't. There really aren't. There's some out there that just doing it because they have an ability and they're trying to use it, for good,
Yep.
And they get it. And it's so quick. Yeah. And it's so quick to, oh, that person was wrong about this, and just throw them out. We forget what it takes. So here we go. Preparing for the experience. There's Dietary adjustments: avoid caffeine and dairy 24 hours before the session. Eat simple meals like fruits and vegetables to maintain a calm state of mind. There is so much in here and so balanced. And I'm going to bring it up more with Steve tomorrow night. But it goes from, selecting a quiet location, wear comfortable clothing, the mirror placement, if you're going to do this, do it right. And I'll tell you why it's important. How many people have seen a Japanese tea ceremony? It's beautiful, right? How many people have seen a Native American ceremony of, just maybe cleansing an area, or going through a sage ceremony, or the drum ceremony, putting the tobacco on the drum skin first, and the things that they do? There's a ritual to it. There's a intent to it. There is a moving your spirit and your vibration into another vibration intentionally to create, what's the word I'm looking for? Not an aura of that vibe, that almost a note, like when you hit a note on a guitar, when everything just is like a harmony, harmonics, you know what I mean? And it just resonates right there.
Right. You have to vibrate at the proper frequency to connect to that higher frequency. So you need to get yourself into a space that with no artificial anything, so that when you start vibrating, it's like those, those.
It's like a harmonics, like those things that you hit.
It's like the 5 balls, right? Okay, you have them on the string, and you let one go, and it goes out. Now, eventually, what happens after time, when you prepare, start swinging in unison. That's where we're getting to. When I do my readings, I can actually do pretty, almost anywhere now because of the training I've been through myself. But it does help when you're more tired, when you're more relaxed.
Right. Which is also why we say, like, right before you sleep is when you talk to your spirit guides. Tell them to be specific. Tell them to put it right in your face, so you're not going to question it. They know you better than you know yourself. Right.
Or in my case, you tell the spirit guides, please stop drinking before we, go to bed.
That's look at that wacky. No more funny honey for you. But my point of the whole thing is, it's more of a ritual. So if I think this, even, I know this sounds crazy, but they're telling me to say it. If any woman that's ever gotten ready to go out on a date, there's a ritual to it. There's the, whatever the bubble bath or the shower is. There's a thing. There's a moving up to it. If guys would just understand it, just don't fight that. Don't try to jam around. Just see the way that flow and jump into it and just try to flow with it. You'll be all right. The minute you start, because
don't fight it.
She's been doing it for already 3 hours. She's already there, man. Just don't fuck it up. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Exactly. Don't fight it.
That's the biggest secret ever. But there's a ritual to it. And I think that's what most people are getting wrong when they're going with, we told you in the beginning of this, is so important. 7-minute cleanse, the shielding and cleansing, Archangel Michael light worker cleanse. It's I keep going like this because it's so short, but it's so powerful and packed. It goes through cord changing and healing and removing negative and putting in positive, and it makes you do the breathing and the sound. It's getting all the senses at once, and you could sit in the bathroom and do this if you had to.
You could do it with your phone. They have a ton of free ones, but I use binaural beats initially to get into a space. And you can program it 5 minutes, boom, and it kind of like it's the sorbet before spiritual, or like Lisa says, it's the synergy,
And it's the same with with Buddhists and the gong and the om. It's a frequency. So if we could just remember that, if you've got a ritual that helps you move up to the synergy, absolutely, and it's moving your intention in motion as well towards something. And I think if more people got into that and put that into whatever you're trying to do with your abilities, I think you would get much better results, because
100%.
it's the same with everything. Paranormal investigation is this way, all of it.
So
spiritual warfare is this way. Go ahead.
Something I've been using, they're available on YouTube, is the Gateway tapes. So there are 6 CDs involved. I think it's 6. And they're about 5 to 8 sessions. And you have to use headphones. So you can get the right ear, and the left ear,
Right.
And they get you into something called Focus 10. But the problem I had is I was doing it in the afternoon, and you get so sensitive to everything around that I literally would smell my daughter coming home from school, and I'm like,
you hypersensitize.
I kind of lose the focus, because now I'm getting the scent.
You hypersensitize. And again, that's a great point. Bringing up the sense, it do all of the sense, and I think that's why it works. Like, think about somebody getting ready for work. Why is perfume so popular? Think about these things and bring this into your, whatever your ritual is for light working, whether you're trying to connect with loved ones, or whether you're trying to help another sort through a case, or you're trying to sort a case yourself, or you're just trying to get through life and trying to not be drained all the time, and trying to take in all this information. Think about all this information coming. It's unfair, man. It's like you're standing there and you're just minding I have a thing where I'm just trying to deliver the mail. It's like I feel like a mailman, and I'm just trying to deliver the freaking mail and get it up this porch and put it in this damn mailbox by the door. But there's a freaking chihuahua on the porch. It's an ankle biter, and it yips like crazy. You're trying to get through it. And sometimes the yard's filled with them. And that's what our days are like sometimes. That's why people like Moody and the Greeks and everybody else are telling you it's a ritual. There's a reason you go see the wise man at the top of the hill, because once you climb the hill, you're ready to listen. We put our healers outside of the village, because when you get to them, you make the journey, you're ready to listen. And we don't tend to take the time to listen to even our own heartbeat sometimes. We're so caught up in the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And I think these scrying rooms, or if we can create a situation like that, and if you're not doing scrying, maybe that's how you bring in your fire gazing. Maybe just light a candle and fire gaze and talk to your spirit guides that way. That's a good one too.
A perfect place for people to start doing this, because it's the only place in your home you'll truly get privacy.
Closet.
No, you don't want to light a candle in a closet.
Don't set your suits on fire.
No, but you can do a bathroom, and you can be standing during it. You can put a little piece of wood on top of your sink, depending on what kind of sink you have. So you have a place to write, if you want, and then. Everybody usually has a mirror in the bathroom. Light one of those don't go Yankee candle, but it's off to the side, so there's just enough of light. And then you can use it to scry into a mirror, or you can fill your bathroom sink up with something where you put some food coloring in it, so it changes the color of it.
Coffee,
old
coffee or something.
Or coffee. You could use that area with the light to actually do your work. No one's going to bother. You may after 20 minutes go, "Hey, I gotta go."
Yeah.
But
the
at least
thing
you'll
is
start in a place.
With most scrying and the deep thing, it takes a long time, and people again, we are in that push button phase where we just scrolling like crazy, doing all kinds of things, texting like mad. Everything is instant. We get mad if we got to stand in line, 2-3 people waiting on a coffee, whatever. So again, we have to force ourselves to get back to that natural thing where people took time to do something and put intent and ritual and that kind of feeling back into it. And also think about what your body is like. So if you're a person that likes to go through, if you want to fast, you want to do that kind of thing, you want to just say go to water, just go to liquids and fruit for the day, you're preparing ahead. And you're getting yourself ready to do that, something like this. And it's not going to work the first time, I would say. It might for you. But again, whether any of these things you do, I think this was a perfect thing to show you guys tonight, to show you that we are going to have to get back to that natural state of being able to sit outside. And 2 weeks ago, I gave you an assignment and said, hey, if you've got a bird feeder, sit quiet, get a baseline. How does it feel with no birds at the bird feeder? And then wait and see if you can tell when the energy changes as something as simple as a bird or a squirrel comes into your energy. Even if you're sitting on the other side of a window and you're locked inside, you can pull something like this off. If you're outside and you can do it with deer or something else, or, ducks in a pond or kids in a park, they're going to make noise. But you want to try to get your senses and your filters exercised for the things that are coming up, because you are going to have people around you that feel the effects of what the earth is going through, which is, I think, growing pains. And it's going to be like and everything is going to be cool, but it's going to be a short, bumpy roller coaster ride getting there. We're going to be fine because we're already up here looking down at it going, whoa, look at that. If you're here, that's what's happening. Right, Bri?
Yeah. Another place you can do, this is a great suggestion, is if you live near the beach and it's sunset, walk to the water's edge and listen to the waves and watch the sunset. You can use that for scrying too, because it's a beautiful scene. It literally will.
It also
make
fills
your heart feel better. Yes,
it does.
And
it fills you because you're by all that water and everything right there. I used to do that I'm right here by the ocean. I used to do that all the time. And you could do it in mountains, anything nature like that. But you also have to understand that if you want to hang on to that feeling as you take away with you, have to understand what you're doing. You're actually raising your vibration. We can do it real quick with crystal bowls and gongs and things like that. But when you're really fulfilling yourself for the battle ahead, I mean, your whole family might be going nuts right now. I mean, gosh, look at all the stuff we've been through for like 5 years. It's been nuts. I'm getting echo big time, baby.
My thing goes in and out every once in a while.
Did it go out? Okay, I'm just letting you know. Well, I'm going to play this. It's 2 minutes, and then we're out of here. But I know we've been scrambling around tonight, and we didn't get a lot of the scrying in, and I've got it. We can show it tomorrow too. But this is the thing. There's a lot of stuff going on, and Brian and I are picking up stuff to put down, and I think it's important that whatever was said tonight, it's not because it came from me or it came from Brian. It came from the other side, you know what I mean? And you might have needed to hear it. I might have needed to hear it. Who knows? But this is what we got tonight. I'm sorry it got kind of jumbled up. That was my fault. But I'd rather just talk free sometimes, and we don't really stick to script. But I think that's meant to be sometimes, right, Brian?
100%. I'm still here.
Okay.
100%. I'm trying to get the mic muted, but I'm not using
it. It's okay. You're okay, sweetheart. All right, here it is. Just 2 minutes of Dr. Moody explains his side, and it's pretty cool. If I can get it right. If I pick the right one. Do I pick the right one? Yep. Here we go.
Independently, all over the world, and literally from prehistoric times, people discovered that when they gazed into an optical clear depth, a reflective surface such as a pond, or later on a polished metal bowl filled with olive oil, or into a mirror, that they would see, of course, their reflection, but if they kept on gazing, they would see other things, specifically spirits sometimes of their dead loved ones, and that they could interact with these spirits. Naturally, this very soon developed into a major institution of the ancient world, the so-called oracles of the dead. In ancient Greece, for example, the oracle of the dead described by Homer in the Odyssey was a place where people would take long pilgrimages and they would gaze into the clear optical depth provided by an enormous bronze cauldron polished on the inside and filled with olive oil and illuminated indirectly by torchlight. These same kinds of institutions occurred, for example, in Japan, where there the oracles of the dead were built over clear ponds of water with high arched bridges, and people would sort of hang around at the shores of these ponds, and they would reflect and talk about their deceased relatives. Then they would walk out across this arrangement, walk across these high arched bridges, gaze down into the water, and there, coming up from the water, they would see the spirits of their departed relatives.
That's Mr. Moody. And
yes,
he's terrific. And I love the way he did that. And I love the fact that he's putting stuff down here in the latter part of his journey. And it's just amazing. And I've got a nice piece on him probably about 25 years ago when he was on The Extraordinary. And we'll get that in another show. Brian, we'll have you back. We'll continue on this.
Well, I appreciate being asked to be on. My love to you as always, my sister. And I thank everybody in chat.
You have energy bouncing all around you in there. I know you know this, and we can see it.
Yeah, I do.
And they're telling you in the chat too. It's been crazy, all kinds of stuff going on, but I know you got that. I love you.
Just so you know, there's no one really behind me. There's not a reflection. They're nowhere near where there would be a reflection. So, but there are spirits, and I have to sometimes get at night tell them, like, I've got to go to sleep. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I got you, baby. All right, listen, guys, I love you so much. Like I said, I'm sorry we jumped all over, but I think, we brought up stuff I didn't even think about. It's amazing. And I think tonight was more about just trying to give you guys some ideas of, like, if you're struggling with meditation or any of that, like, go easy on yourself. Smaller bites, take that 7-minute, cleansing and shielding. Remember about the prayers, handwritten prayers, that you come up yourself. You can get scripture. You do whatever you need to do. Brian's got some on his Facebook, you said, right? And also, so does Bill Bean. Bill Bean has some very powerful spiritual warfare prayers. If you want to put some under your mattress or on your wall or under your kid's mattress, do whatever you need to do to get through this stuff, because you just want to get a little of the ick off, and get a fighting chance. And I'll tell you, it works. It's there. And I love you, and you can do it. And if I can do it, you can do it. I love you, Bri. My love to your fam. And I think we're out of here. Let me pull something up and tell us one more time how to get your podcast.
It's youtube.com/@Brian and Third Eye Live. We're live every Wednesday from 8 p.m. to at least 9 p.m. And we have really good guests coming up. Evan B. Stone, who's a friend of mine. He is the main photography for Josh Gates and Expedition Unknown and Skinwalker Ranch. He's coming on. He's doing stuff with AI that'll blow your mind. He's coming on not this week, the following week. So go check us out.
There you go. Thank you, my brother. I love you very much. Listen, kick off your shoes and dance barefoot in your kitchen. Dance right where you are. If you're driving a car, please 10 and 2, but you can still wiggle a little bit. And let's dance some blues away. I love you all. Listen, keep the lights on and be good humans. Good night, everybody. Good night, baby.
Good night.